It doesn't mean you can let that dynamic change.
No, you can't. But when those two go hand in hand, maybe the contract had nothing to do with it. That's not how the outside world will see it, though. Those guys might look at it and say, money's changed everything, whereas maybe it didn't. But when those two happen at the same time, people are naturally going to draw that connection.
No matter what it is that happened, whether it was the money or whatever, when you are getting that money as a franchise quarterback, especially in that town, you better make sure to change your ways and get it straightened out. I heard the phrase Wentz vibes. Ooh. And in Philadelphia, those are words that you do not want to hear.
No.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
It's funny. My dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings and anniversary gifts and birthday gifts. So it's pretty cool to see that family tree grow.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years. Our non-commissioned sales associates are experts. They have only one goal: your complete satisfaction.
We have a 6,000 square foot showroom with anything and everything that you could possibly want. Beards Diamonds has been family owned and locally operated since 1981.
It's still our goal to offer the largest selection of quality diamond jewelry at the best prices in Jacksonville, guaranteed. The reason we can make that promise? As Beards owners, we are on the floor helping you with your purchase. We have no corporate bosses setting the price. The chain stores can't touch our prices. They just can't.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com, including the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds. Come in and see us. We'd love to help you. Anybody that steps foot in our store is automatically part of the Beards family.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
Hey, boss, imagine life as a crook without Lester Jackson and Safe Touch security.
That would lower my stress levels.
No more two-way communicators or rapid response times.
Hey, get back to reality. We got the crooks of us golden rule. Stay away from Safe Touch houses. Some things never change.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson with Safe Touch Security System. No one beats our technology or our price.
Right now, get up to 50% off security packages during this once-a-year deal. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license EF2001945.
At highway speeds, the average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. That's enough time to travel the length of a football.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter. I'm Christine Lisi. Doc Rivers is back in the NBA. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting Rivers reached an agreement in principle to take over in Milwaukee. Rivers, an ESPN NBA analyst and NBA title-winning coach, was the top target of the Bucks after firing Adrian Griffin. It'll be Doc's 5th NBA head coaching job. First Take host Stephen A. Smith.
On 3 occasions, he's blown a 3-1 lead. In Game 7s, his career record is 6-10 as a coach, and he's lost the last 5 straight. I'm not saying this year has to be the year, but if Doc Rivers doesn't succeed at this job, my prediction is it will be his last as a head coach in the NBA.
Rivers is taking over a Bucks team that is second in the Eastern Conference. Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith submitted a letter to the NHL requesting to initiate the expansion process of bringing a franchise to Salt Lake City. NFL, from ESPN's Adam Schefter, Chiefs Pro Bowl guard Joe Thuney did not practice today because of a pectoral injury. It is unlikely he plays against the Ravens in Sunday's AFC Championship game.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, I'll tell you if Lamar Jackson needs to win the Super Bowl to quiet all the doubters. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Live from the Anajar and Levine studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
This year marks the 75th anniversary of the Jacksonville Urban League as a nonprofit social service and advocacy group that works to empower communities and change lives in underserved neighborhoods.
Hi, this is Richard Danford over the Jacksonville Urban League. Your support of the Jacksonville Urban League's 75th anniversary celebration will help us continue to address the economic disparities that exist in our communities. You know, we're working extremely hard to find ways for our constituents to improve their lives, whether it's through finding a job, whether it's through finding a home that they can rent. We know that the housing market is such that many people, particularly those in marginalized communities, are finding it extremely difficult to find somewhere to live, and especially in safe places to live. So we encourage you to support us such that we can support our communities as well as the children who live in those communities. We want them to receive the best chance of getting a great education as possible. So support the Urban League's mission of empowering communities and changing lives.
Purchase your ticket today at jaxul.org. That's jaxul.org.
Have you been looking for a way to make a meaningful impact? Make a change in a child's future for the better? Become a mentor to at-risk youth in Jacksonville. The Malavia Washington Youth Foundation has been developing champions in classrooms, on tennis courts, and throughout communities for the past 27 years. Your support in serving hope and changing lives will increase graduation rates, foster healthy relationships, boost self-confidence, and academic performance in the youth who need it most. This is your chance to make a lasting impact on our future leaders. Meet once per week to engage in academic and social emotional support and form a bond you'll cherish forever. The students at Malavia Washington Youth Foundation will benefit from your encouragement, empowerment, and academic assistance. To learn more, head to malwashington.com/mentors or send an email to volunteers@malwashington.com. Again, learn more by visiting malwashington.com/mentors or email volunteers@malwashington.com.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me. Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
Well, it's the power of the show. Trent Baalke's going to talk tomorrow.
Look at that.
I should really let's just own that.
I think you actually believe that.
That he's talking because of the show?
And now I think you're trying to play it off like you don't believe it when you do believe it.
I know that's not the reason.
Oh, my goodness.
So how about if I just know stuff?
Case. Do you think he thinks we made Trent talk?
I think he knows. He just said he knows stuff.
I think he might have taken credit for it on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Throws a bomb.
You spin not everybody tries to spin stuff. Okay. Not everybody's calculating.
Are you sure?
Yes. Why do you guys look at it through that lens?
Because it's true.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't think he listened to the show yesterday. I don't think they're reacting to us.
What's wrong with us?
We're the best of Jacks.
We're best of Jacks.
That's a good point.
We won.
Listen, I think? Should he? Yes, he should.
Listen to the show.
Listen, if he listens to the show, we asked this last week like 3 times.
Yeah.
So he should have done it then. But hey, here's the thing. It doesn't matter why he's doing it. This is going to be an interesting news conference.
How so?
Because there's a lot floating out there. That's
there's
why.
Certainly a lot of stories and a lot of reports and stuff that are interesting if you were to comment on them. But do we think he's going to comment on them?
Well, I just said that to somebody. It's like, okay, so we're going to have some questions for him a little bit later, or what people ask, and people want all this stuff. But let's just take the simple question of this. There's rumors. I mean, listen, I heard this in the locker room in Tennessee.
Oh.
Locker room in Tennessee. As we're doing postgame.
Okay.
And it wasn't from a player, by the way. But it started to, somebody texted me and said something about retirement. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I immediately start asking a little bit around here,
a little nudging, a little investigating.
I mean, I'm with a lot of people that might know if that were to be
that's
the
a
case.
fair point. Sure.
What'd you figure out?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Nothing like they weren't budging, or you were convinced it was a bad report?
I was just I was just convinced that if that was the case, it wasn't being talked about, discussed, floated around. Everybody was like, "What are you talking?" I hadn't really heard that. So.
All right.
So, but I also I'm not sure that wasn't a good report, or there's who knows. But I know what's going to happen tomorrow. Unless he's going out there to retire, he's going to say, "No, I was never going to retire."
Okay.
What if he retires?
And then what do you say?
Oh, cool.
Are you sure?
Liar.
Are you sure?
This is where it's so funny. This is why the fans do this. This is why the fans are like, "You guys ask such crappy questions. You guys going to ask the tough questions." The question is easy tomorrow. Were you going to retire, or are you contemplating retirement? And he says, "I don't know where that came from, though. I mean, I'm all in." If he says that, what is your response?
What if he gets wavy gravy?
I really believe Pete Prisco.
What if he goes
is that what you say? Nah, Pete said it.
No, but
Pete said it.
What if he goes like this?
You know it, or Pete said it?
What if he goes, "Well, I think at my age, you're always thinking a little bit about it." That's
then he opens the door.
A little cutesy game at that point.
But do you think he's going to sit there and open the door for
I don't.
that?
No,
that's
not
my
this guy.
point. Okay,
Once the door's open.
We'll see what he says. We'll see. But I think that question has to be asked. I think it's floated around enough. I'm not a big fan of asking questions off Twitter. All right?
You're not?
But I do think there's enough over these last couple of weeks to inquire about certain things. There's enough from Albert Breer writing on things to what you hear to what Prisco has said a couple of times to what has floated around. And you try to substantiate or not, and you get enough to be like, okay, how's the relationship going with Doug and Trent? Those are fair questions right now coming off a collapse where people do like to point the fingers, as I discussed yesterday on the show a lot. So, but I just don't I don't know what we're...
Yeah, is there any world where Trent goes, "Well, I got to tell you, it's been better."
Yeah, that's right.
You didn't send me back a Christmas card this year.
So I'm just trying to help with the fans here, okay? This is what I've learned in this business for a long time. And fans, and I get this, I'm not knocking you, but fans like to hear what they want to hear. And I've got a feeling tomorrow you're not going to hear what you want to hear.
Do they like hearing what they want to hear? Do they like feeling like they were right? People in general, I guess.
Well, both. You can feel what you want to hear for 2 reasons in this situation. 1, because maybe you're right, and 2, because you want them out. or you want blood, or you want somebody to pay. Like, we know everybody wants some, like, everybody's got to,
a little pound of flesh.
Fry a little bit here because of this collapse.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know if we're going to get what we want to get. Now, I also think there are some substantial questions to be asked about this roster. And those he better answer to. Like that's his job.
Like some examples.
Well, the interior. Did you miscalculate on the interior, this front end? We all know it's a problem, okay? You can't hide from the issue. We think, and some people like me think, it's like the issue.
Yeah.
The reason they missed the playoffs, the reason their offense didn't take off. And so, yeah, how you got to answer to that. Like, you can't sit here and tell the fans tomorrow that, yeah, Luke Fortner's going to be a lot better in year 3.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if you heard. Oh, sorry. I'd be shocked if you heard something different. I'd be shocked if you heard anything different from, well, I think if we were healthy, it would have looked different out there.
I think he's got to come up with a little bit more than that. That to me opens the door for a lot more. You can't do that. That's not that can't be the answer. Like, we've got to get better in the interior, whether that's Luke or somebody else. We need to be better. Fair. We missed. Fair. Like, this isn't that hard. I just told somebody this. This is not that hard what the Jags needed to do after the season. Listen, there's a lot of blame to go around here. Me miscalculating, me maybe staying pat, me meaning Trent Baalke, the coaching staff. Yeah, we had some injuries where we had some stuff, but we all take responsibility and we all have some responsibility. The players, too, didn't play as well down the stretch as we did maybe at other times. But we are still aligned in this thing. Like, we don't feel like we're that far away. There are plenty of signs. There are plenty of plays that were to be made. There are plenty of things we make a tweak here or there that we can fix this thing. Or if you don't believe that, say we got to gut this here or there and do some other things. But I don't think they would say that. But I just think that should have been done last week. I also think in this organization, the way this organization's been, they should come out together and show alignment. Now, that's not going to happen. And in fairness, that doesn't happen around the league all the time either. It's usually the head coach and then the GM.
But it's not every team that has a story that there's a power struggle.
Well, but the reason, if we're going to call it one way, we got to call it the other way. And in this sense, we were criticizing Baalke for not showing up yet to the podium.
Yes.
And last year, 2 days after they had this miracle run and made it to the playoffs and everybody was feeling good, he did.
Yes.
But also, in fairness to that, him and Doug did not come to the podium together.
Okay.
Doug did one day and then Trent did the next day, or vice versa, whatever. So, like, I'm okay with that. I'd like to see it. If I'm Shad, if I could call Shad right now, be like, Shad, send them both out there, man. Because there's this perception that this isn't on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think it's an important perception. And here's why what goes down in the next, or what is actually happening inside the building, which you can believe what you want to believe, or maybe you know more than the rest of us. I'm not sure anybody really knows the true dynamics, but I think there's plenty of speculation about what's going on in the building. This is a critical time in the franchise's history from a perception standpoint, internally and externally. I know this seems like a far gap, but they have a stadium that is on the horizon here in Jacksonville. And we all believe, or I think we believed, I definitely did, that if they won for these couple of years, this was going to help. Like being 8-3 Monday Night Football, this was going to help push the stadium. The collapse doesn't help that. Splintering at the top, or curiosity about what's going on inside the building in terms of how toxic it might be, whether true or not, is not good for that even. So that's a big deal. Your franchise quarterback could be re-signed this year. You already screwed that kid with hiring Urban Meyer. Are you going to present more toxicity inside the building for this guy in less than 3 years? Or in 3 years or 4 years? You have Josh Allen, who is a free agent. He doesn't have to sign that franchise tag. He may want to go elsewhere if you show that you're not aligned, that this organization isn't in the right place. Like, these are real reasons, whether you like Baalke or not. If I'm Shad Khan, the owner, these are real reasons why the perception of your organization and the reality, which you know more than we know, is important over these next few months. We have seen players leave here in the past. This is not good how this has come out over the last 10 days since the season ended. The season ending wasn't good, but I really believe they could get up there together. They could have already got up there together. They could show alignment, say, we made a change on defense. We're going to find the next guy, whatever, blah, 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 blah. We're going to get it fixed. We're going to do this. And whether you believe them or not, that's fine, but you showcase that. You showcase strength of the organization. Because in reality, this is an organization that has had 2 winning seasons in a row for the first time in 20 years. They have done more good things than people are going to give them credit for right now because everybody's pissed off. But you still need to showcase that. And instead, I feel like he's going to show weakness tomorrow. 1, because he's out there by himself. 2, because he probably felt like he had to do this news conference rather than really wants to do the news conference. And 3, because I think he's probably not going to fully address some of the things that we just brought up because it doesn't really make sense from a PR standpoint to address it. And so where are we tomorrow afternoon on this? Where are we the next day? Where's this organization as they try to get a stadium, as they try to get this back to the winning ways and win the division, as they try to potentially sign Josh Allen, as they try to potentially get their franchise quarterback locked up for years and years to come? Does that sound dramatic to you guys? Like maybe it's too dramatic. But if I'm shot, I think those things are important to me, or they should be important.
I think they are important. I think for all the reasons you detailed, I just don't know you're seeing closure tomorrow. For example, you talk about the interior offensive line. Did you miss? Well, if he says, yeah, we miscalculated, he's got to then imply that 2 or 3 of these returning guys that are still on the roster and under contract aren't good enough or weren't good enough in the way they set them up for positions outside of left guard and possibly Sheriff. But you're still carrying Fortner into the season next year. You've still got Walker Little on the team. You may bring back Ezra Cleveland. You've got the guys behind them. So I find it hard to believe he's going to turn around and be like, yeah, that was kind of messy. We got to fix that as soon as possible. Rather than say, we were riddled by injuries. Obviously, changes need to be made. We'll figure that out in the offseason. Like, I don't think he's at danger by owning the miscalculations or the mistakes. Matter of fact, I think he could endear himself to people who are out on him.
Absolutely.
I just don't see it happening. A few thoughts from the chat right now. Kilkenny wants to know, can you just straight up ask him who he's taking at 17?
Yeah, sure.
And if you're not willing to take questions off Twitter, how about YouTube? JR Fly says, I'd honestly prefer Baalke to retire at this point. It looks like there might be big issues and hidden motives behind closed doors, and we aren't going to win anything big with that happening in the background.
Casey, am I being dramatic about all the other stuff? It's okay if you say, yeah, like maybe I am.
No, I think this is odd. Like, I don't think there's a scenario where you can present that you are in line with the other person by doing one of these at, like, a different time. Because, like, there's a ton of scenarios where he says something that's not trying to throw somebody under the bus, somebody's going under the bus. Because, like, when you've got Doug making decisions, at least we think on coaching, because you're going to ask about the defensive coordinator. So who knows how that even looks? Well, that was Doug's decision. What? What if that's the answer? You know what I mean? So I think it's just easier to do both these things at the same time. You didn't do it that way, so I guess we'll see.
Well, what you said has a sense of drama. I don't think that the stadium deal hinges.
Oh, I don't either.
Okay.
I don't think any one deal hinges. But I do know this. All 3 deals are massive.
Massive.
And so why would I want to do – like, this is just bad timing to – this is my overarching thought of the last 2 weeks. I just thought about it more today. This is bad timing for all these other things that need to take place with an organization that till December 4th at like 11:30 at night had a hell of a lot of momentum. Like some of the most – they had the most momentum the franchise had ever had. Like I had said that. This franchise is in the best place they've ever been in on December 4th. Stadium deal on the horizon, momentum for it, trip to the playoffs, good coach, franchise quarterback, good roster, number 1 seed on the line, Monday Night Football, another primetime game coming. This franchise may have never been in a better place than it was on December 4th when that football kicked off. And then you get 5 out of 6, and you miss the playoffs, and you do something you've never done despite all the bad things this franchise has done. And then on top of it, you have one end-of-the-year press conference where an hour later you fire your defensive coordinator. Never hear from the GM. Instead, we just hear rumblings over the last 10 days of retirement, struggle, who's got the power, who's calling the DC. Like, I still think it's ridiculous that people think that he picked the DC. Yeah, maybe he was in the room. Maybe he was in the room. Doug Peterson, if Doug Peterson didn't pick the DC, then that's a Doug Peterson problem. then Doug Peterson better start being the heavy in there.
I do agree that.
Like, come on. I mean, he picks the coach, okay?
I do agree that having Doug out there with Trent makes a lot of this kind of quiet down or go away.
Yeah, because I know people are a little pissed at Doug too, mostly because of the press stuff, whatever else. But Doug is still the likable figure here. I defended Baalke for a lot of these last couple years against some of the vigor in town, okay? I thought it was way too much. I don't know if he earned that. I still will say right now that he's put together a lot better roster than you guys think he has. I also think he needs to take accountability for especially the interior on both sides and the linebacker overinvestment, considering what they've got. I think they need to give us direction. They need to sound like they're on the same page. And I think the bottom line with Trent Baalke is nobody trusts him. The fans don't trust him. People around the league don't trust him. And that's why I think a lot of fans and other people didn't want him in this position in the first place. Because they knew it would get to this point that these kind of discussions come up. Now, is that completely fair to Trent Baalke? I don't think any of us really know Trent Baalke. And you're going to say, well, Brent, you suck at your job. No, we're not allowed to see
Kasey
that.
would say that, yes.
Like, he doesn't hold that kind of court. Right? Like, I don't think anybody really does. And I've told you this, I've learned this over the years. Even if you wanted to text Trent Baalke right now and give his side of the story, would you really believe it? Because people point the other direction in this business all the time, especially when stuff hits the fan. And that's not just a Baalke thing, by the way. That's like a league-wide thing for the most part.
So if people aren't going to believe the words he's going to say, why bother talking?
Well, I still think he can give insight and other things around. Again, this is going to be more roster-driven. I'm talking about forget about the presser tomorrow. It's just how we got here. How we get here from December 4th to here. And all of a sudden, welcome to Jacksonville. You know? It's not just that you failed down the stretch. It's not just that, hey, you got injuries. It's more like, what's this stuff going on? And who's going to rescue that? Trent's going to talk tomorrow. Is he going to rescue that? I doubt it. When's the next time Doug talking? He's the guy that can rescue it and at least put this thing back on the tracks from a perception standpoint, even if it's not on the tracks. And when's Schachter going to say it? Probably not, right? So this is where you have like this problem organizationally, in my opinion, where nobody really knows what's going on. And when you don't know what's going on, I said this all the time, guys, back when Urban was here. One of the big problems the Jags had when Urban was here is not just Urban. They had obviously all this stuff. But they also had the lingering effects of COVID. And with that came no contacts really like one-on-one in locker rooms with players to get a feel for what's going on. No walking the building to get a feel for what's going on from other assistants and other things. And when you have that, what transpired? Oh my goodness! I mean, they probably should have just had shields down there at Everbank. I mean, everybody was throwing bullets. You know, I mean, everybody was throwing shade at him.
But you could also point to the toxic nature of the tip of that spear with Urban Meyer.
He certainly didn't help it, but there was no perspective on it. I can tell you so many times over my career here in Jacksonville where you get something from the outside. You get some noise. And you go and get perspective on the inside. Doesn't mean you necessarily believe what they're telling you, but you get perspective. There was very little of that during the Urban stuff. And I think that led to this crazy, like the just craziness in Jacksonville for 2 months around the search for the next coach and all the vigor for Baalke and everything else. It just led one thing to another. And there was no defense of the organization is what I always said. There was no defense. Nobody was coming out and defending the organization. Nobody. Not even like somebody that maybe would, like in the media or somebody else. Nobody. And when you have that, it's like no holds barred. I'm not saying we're here yet on that. That was a different level of toxicity and obviously something that's crazy. I believe in Doug a lot more than that. But you're all of a sudden starting to get some of this perception with no explanation, no perspective of where this is going and what's reality. And that's where we are. Like, that's where we are. And I don't know if that's going to get solved tomorrow. But I also think, like, here we go again. And in part, here we go again in Jacksonville because of the conversation we had yesterday. You don't have anybody that's, well, you don't know of one person that's singularly just all I care about is this organization. You can't tell me unequivocally people in that building that just say, I just care about this. I don't care about my paycheck. I don't care about my legacy. I don't care about my resume. I just care about the fans and this organization getting to the mountaintop. Now, I don't mean to offend everybody working inside there. I know there are a lot of people working inside the building. I'm telling you from a voice standpoint that feel that way. And honestly, I don't think that's a player's job to do. Trevor is probably the closest one we have to that over these years. But I don't think it's his job to do that. So whether it's splintered or not, we're talking about it. And we'll see if Trent sheds any light on it tomorrow. We'll be back. Get your thoughts, 904-362-9901. You can text, you can call. Phone's open after the first break on ESPN 690, I think.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny and warmer with a brief shower and some coastal fog today. High temperatures in the upper 70s inland into the upper 60s to near 70 at the beaches. A little bit cooler thanks to those colder ocean temperatures. Lows in the 60s tonight, staying mild with even warmer weather on the way for Thursday. Highs near 79. From the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Trevor Gibbs.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
I'm Daniel Davis, President and CEO of Jack's Chamber. Did you know that more than 100 people a day are moving to the Jacksonville region? They see what we've known all along, that our beaches and access to waterways give us a quality of life like no other, that our variety of neighborhoods from historic to brand new allow everyone to find their perfect match, and that our innovative business community keeps our economy thriving. To learn more, visit jackschamber.com.
Start the year with a new or used vehicle at Nimnick Buick GMC. New year, new truck. There are trucks, and then there's the truck, the GMC Sierra. I love mine, and you can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500s and enjoy rates as low as 0.9% APR financing. Try a Terrain or Acadia with rates as low as 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. Used car? Well, try the Car Bravo program. Nimnick certifies all makes and models. NimnickBuickGMC.com or the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC. We are professional grade.
Hi, I'm Mike Lester, the founder of Talon Wealth and the host of the Guarding Your Nest Egg radio show. Like you, I love this country, and I'm very thankful for those that protect us along with our freedoms. That's why for active military and active first responders, if you decide to work with us, Talon Wealth isn't going to charge you any advisor fees. We're happy to explain all the details, but most importantly, thank you for your service.
Visit guardingyournestegg.com to find out more.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Florida License D056341.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination. Mike from Bay Meadows.
I finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
This is Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau,
You don't even like your quarterback.
Kasey Kuhrts,
You don't even like your team.
and Aaron Schachter
I don't even like myself, guys. Do you know me?
on Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio, ESPN 690.
Do you guys think the Jags are organizationally are in some trouble right now? Does it feel it?
I don't know.
I mean, and by trouble, I mean like I said, trouble means like not on the same page. Like we're going to see, does it get messy? Because when it's trouble, it gets messy before it gets better.
Well, let me ask you this. Is there a difference between having a disagreement and being in trouble?
Well, yeah, because listen, bottom line is you should have disagreements.
Okay.
And that's why I think you have to take things. But disagreements and power struggles are different.
Agreed.
Right?
I just think that when people outside of the organization hear about a disagreement and things didn't go well at the end, it's easy to connect the dots when you're not putting the guy in front of everybody to help unconnect those dots. So if Baalke is not going to be out there talking about it when the season ends, it leaves people like Prisco to do reports on it. And then suddenly, like, who are we quoting here? We have no idea. Where'd the report come from? We have no idea. Who said what? We have no idea. In the void of Baalke having his own voice, anybody can say anything. And so I tend to think at this point, it's probably just regular business or even football dealings that got blown up into something else. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're not there.
Well, I do think what I said, I just wonder, here's what I know in terms of how I look at this organization. I know Doug's a good guy and a good coach because he's got a Lombardi trophy, and he also went back to Philly, where everybody thought that soured. Obviously, he got fired, so there's reason for it to be soured. And I watched him go back to Philly, man, and players, coaches, security people, like the amount of people that came up to Doug that, like, he almost couldn't get out on the field. And it just showed, and people said good things. Like, people continue to say good. Like, I think he's coming off Urban, he brought a lot of that. Like, that was important to bring to this organization. He's a likable guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the unlikable nature of Trent Baalke that a lot of people see, but I think it's been around the league that it's not like a love affair ever with Trent Baalke. Like, that's what was coming. That was 2 years ago conversation. I also think he's done a lot of good things. I just don't know. Again, with the roster, I think he's done more good things than people give him credit for. I just don't know or have a good sense of, like, how much he controls things in the building or everywhere else. Or, by the way, what he says. I mean, I was telling somebody today, like, we've been in press boxes and games. Like, he's kind of vocally not happy with coaches during a game. Like, I mean, you can hear it. Now, I've heard all sorts of things up in press boxes. I mean, Ryan Grigson, like, in London one year was unbelievable. I mean, out in front of, like, everybody. He was out there. And I don't think, like, we've heard Tom Coughlin. Like, Tom Coughlin would, like, gasp and yell sometimes, like, because they don't always get in, like, a suite.
Yeah.
So they're out there in the press box. But, I mean, there's, like, does that mean, is that just a competitive in-game moment? Or is that hey, you worry about the roster and our guys will worry about the coaching? Or does that carry over into the building? Does that, like, you just don't know. I mean, you don't know those things. So I just think if anything is going on in a building, when you win, everybody's cool with it. as soon as it hits the fan a little bit, and especially when you have this kind of collapse, it hits the fan a lot of bit. And I think that's why we're getting the walls talking a little bit more. There's obvious people talking to multiple people that there's more disconnect in there than people are knowing about.
So yesterday we were talking a little bit about maybe a change to the structure that you thought might be beneficial.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
Today we're hearing that the Titans did just that yesterday. And so I figured I'd bring this to the show to kind of give you an example of how another team maybe close to home here is getting it done. You tell me if you like it this way. But the team has announced, the Titans, that Ran Carthon has been promoted to Executive Vice President and General Manager. Chad Brinker has been promoted to the President of Football Operations, and then they hired Callahan, as we all know, to be the head coach. So Carthon's going to oversee all the areas that impact the football team, such as the roster control, team activities, personnel decisions, including draft and free agency acquisitions. Tennessee's coaching staff will report to Carthon. He's also going to have oversight of the scouting department, sports medicine department, and player engagement. Brinker, who is the new hire as president of football operations, he moves from assistant general manager into that newly created role. He's going to oversee football departments, including salary cap management, analytics, and strategy, communications, and information systems. He's also going to manage team operations, including security, video, equipment, and the groundskeepers. And then he will continue to provide scouting evaluations for prospects that are in college headed to the NFL. So as far as the split goes, it seems like in this scenario, Ran Carthon is basically doing the football stuff, and you've got Brinker doing the organizational stuff with some light football stuff in there as well.
It's interesting. I don't know if I see that.
That's not what you were talking about.
No, I mean, I think the one that gets me is the player engagement stuff. I think that's interesting. But see, I think
is that like alumni weekend stuff?
Yeah, that might be that. It might be.
The part that doesn't get you is dude that's managing the groundkeepers is also scouting players. That part doesn't get you at all.
Well, no, this is why I think
they
that's
can handle
normal.
themselves.
That's insane.
I think here's why this is normal. In an organization, at some point, you need to oversee these departments.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there's a head groundskeeper who knows all about the intricacies of the water content being sprayed or the kind of grass you're laying down or what the schedule of the sodding is. I don't think that Brinker knows that stuff. I don't think Ran Carthon cares about that stuff, but Brinker may be responsible for that department. So maybe he's meeting with the department heads. They're like, hey, man, we're going to have a need for a $600,000 thing in May that you now have to go tell the owner about. Like, that's where I think that stuff happens. Or like video, right? Ran Carthon's not consumed with, hey, what's the state of our video operation, whether it be for social media or whether it be for us recapping how we do practices. Do we have a GoPro on the quarterback's helmet in practice? Well, let's talk to Brinker about getting some money for that.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think this is set up a little bit differently than what I would say. And listen, there's two parts of what I said yesterday on the show. You can go back and listen. It's in the 5 o'clock hour on YouTube or our Action Sports Shacks channel. And what I was saying is I think they should hire Tony Baselli. Like, I specifically think they should hire Tony Baselli. And there's two reasons. And I don't even care about the title. Like, the title doesn't matter to me. It's just another ear, a set of ears, and another voice for even Shad to bend things off or listen to or get information or varying opinion or how things are. And what I see in a guy like Tony is we know he genuinely cares about the organization. Like, that's the thing. So he's tied to this. We don't have that on their football side. I don't think we have that in Jacksonville. We don't have somebody that knows this organization. I mean, even if feels the organization, like the heartbeat of the organization, the pulse of the organization. I think a guy like Tony knows that going all the way back to day one. I said this yesterday, like Coughlin when he was here, he got it, man, because he knew it. He built it. And this is no disrespect to Shad and Tony, but even Shad and Tony don't go all the way back to then. You know, they're trying to do great things for the organization, but they don't have that pulse all the way back. Heck, I don't. I don't. So I think it's a little bit different when you really know the roots of this organization, the heartbeat of the fan, the temperament, what it means, what this organization like really means. And when you're doing that for the best interest of the organization to someday raise a Lombardi trophy, because that's the goal. Yeah, you sell tickets, you do other things, community events. The goal is to win a Lombardi trophy. So that's the only mission. And I think in Tony, in my conversation here, like this, me putting Tony in this role, everything would be toward that. I just don't believe in the NFL when things go wrong that the guys that are in place are always worried about that first. They might have when they're going right. They might have when they get hired, but that filters down to, oh boy, I better save this job. This is my last chance. I'm not going to be a GM ever again. I'm not going to make this kind of money ever again. Like, those are just real things. And I think the way the NFL structure is built, I think you look out for yourself. I think somebody in like a Tony role, like I said, I brought up Chris Spielman in Detroit. I think like he knows it. He feels it. It means something to him. Like, maybe that's a little bit too dramatic, but I do think that has value in a place like Jacksonville. Maybe it doesn't have value in a place like New York, but I think it has value in a place like Jacksonville, especially where this team has lost for a long time, and the fans are so thirsty for it, and it means so much to everybody here that we talk about it like for 2 hours a day, even in the offseason, right? 2 out of the 3 hours, maybe 3 out of the 3 hours. But I also do think the other part of this is it's just another football mind. To get information, to share opinion, to come to a decision. I think there's a chance you can have too many cooks in the kitchen. I really do. I believe that. But I also don't know if 3 is too many. So I don't know if this is the role. I just think at some point, and this is what I keep going back to, and I don't know if I eloquently say it, I would like to know, and I haven't done this research, find me a situation that has worked for a long time when you don't come in together as a GM and coach. And maybe there are more examples of it than I know. But I just don't think so. I don't think so. Has that duo weathered the ups and the downs and got through it on the other side? I think when you don't come in together, again, we go back to say this about Gus Bradley and Dave Caldwell. For 3.5 years, even through some miserable times, even through not exceeding expectations by any stretch of the imagination, they really looked like they were in step. They looked aligned. They sounded aligned. They felt aligned. Trust me, we talked to them a bunch, even off mic. I felt like they were aligned. I knew them both pretty well. I don't know if I can say that about Doug and Trent. I think that's what we're going through right here, but it was an arranged marriage. So here we are again, like, who's going to win? When's it going to break up? What's it going to mean for next year? Do we have to wait until next year for this team to say, like, hey, it's not going to work, but we're going to win 7 games even though we should win 10, and then we're going to fire everybody? It's like, well, if it already looks like it's going to be a problem, why don't we just do something about it now?
Well, it kind of sounds like that's what you're talking about. If you were a fan rather than some objective reporter, it sounds like your suggestion wouldn't be adding a guy like Tony to the mix, but just replacing Trent with Tony.
Yeah, but there's a problem that I have with that, and with all due respect to Tony, I don't know if he's the guy I want picking players. Like, he doesn't have a lot of experience in that. He's not a scout. Now, could he lean on the scout? Does he know football? Absolutely. I think there's a difference there. And I don't know if that's putting him in a disadvantaged type of situation. The thing that I go back to in this, guys, is the one guy in that front office right now, to me, which is fact, that has a Lombardi trophy, is Doug Peterson. And I give way to that guy. Because, 1, I think he's a good guy. 2, I think he's a good coach. And 3, he's been to the promised land. And so to me, that kind of like, if I'm Shad, and I know Shad's not on social media and listen to all this stuff, but if this kind of gets back, there might be some kind of friction or whatever else. I still always say like that, Doug, what's up? What's going on? You've been around this league for 20-something years. You've seen it work. You've seen it not work. What's going on? Are we in trouble here? And maybe he's had those conversations. But I'm leaning toward that because maybe based on reputation. I mean, listen, Baalke's reputation is he gets a lot of coaches fired. The track record says it. 3 of them, I think, in San Fran. 2 of them so far he's been a part of in Jacksonville.
3 most longest tenured coaches in the league. Mike Tomlin had a GM for almost his entire tenure, and Kevin Colbert retired last season. He got a new one this past year.
And by the way, the new one was an assistant there for a few years.
Next is John Harbaugh on the Ravens. We've talked about that earlier this week.
Ozzie Newsome, assistant was DaCosta. He slid up.
And the third one is Andy Reid, and he ended up getting hired under John Dorsey, and now he's got Brett Veach, who I
think he was the same way.
Was on the staff, yes.
You see what I'm saying? Like, these arranged marriages are tough. And once you get off that, it's like they all got to go or none of them go.
Yep.
And it looks like in Jacksonville, by the way, none of them are going. But you better make sure it's going in the right direction. That's my whole thing today and this week. Alignment. Are you aligned? Come tell us you're aligned. Show us you're aligned. We're all right. Don't worry out there. We got it. We screwed up. We're going to fix it. And we're not as far away as you think. Come on, tell us that. Together, organizationally. I think that's what people need to hear. Whether they believe you or not, well, that's up for them. But I think that's what people need to hear. I don't think we're going to get that tomorrow. And we're not getting it in the offseason so far. And so we're sitting here for days and days talking about this stuff that could be a mess. And maybe it's not as big a mess as we think it is. We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
Here we grow again. Terry Norvell here from the Young and Norvell Show, announcing our new expanded hours as we are now on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's right. You now have a standing lunch date with me and my broadcast partner, former Gators basketball star and current SEC network analyst Patrick Young, every weekday for 2 solid hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690. You supply the lunch. We provide the most compelling sports talk in town. Find out for yourself weekdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the Young and Norvell Show on ESPN 690.
Do you know a child who is deaf, hard of hearing, blind, or visually impaired? The Florida School for the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine is a fully accredited, tuition-free state public school that gives children an edge for a lifetime of success. FSDB is nationally recognized for its educational services designed for students' unique communication and accessibility needs. Eligible pre-K and kindergarten through 12th grade students benefit from small class sizes, advanced technology, and various recreation, extracurricular, and performing arts activities. Transportation and boarding services are free to any eligible deaf or blind student, kindergarten through high school, no matter where the student lives in Florida. My name is Trent Ferguson, and I'm a proud graduate of this wonderful school. This place changes lives. To learn more information or to apply for enrollment, call 800-344-3737 or log on to www.fsdbk12.org.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
What do I need to know about AI? The impact of artificial intelligence, or AI, on business is still to be determined. There's speculation about popular AI bots and whether they will displace human interactions. As an aspiring or current business owner, you may be thinking about how AI might affect customer service, sales, or hiring and managing employees. In response to growing curiosity about AI, SCORE offers webinars on this emerging topic. You can check out our calendar for the next one being offered and register for free under Take a Workshop at score.org/Jacksonville.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at BrentASJacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690. All right, let's get off Trent Baalke and the Jags for just a second. Steph says to me last night, it's like, I got a, like Kaylee was helping out after school with something set up for practice. So she was going to come home and get her like uniform and stuff before tryouts. And it's that time of year, by the way. Baseball, softball season is here. And so she texts Steph. She's like, hey, can you bring my uniform? I'm going to help out at the field, blah, blah, I'm not coming home. So Steph's like, yeah, I'll go get it. And then Kaylee says, hey, something to the effect of, I can FT you if you want.
What's the problem?
And Steph's like,
No.
tells me last night, she's like,
No.
I was like, what is that? And so she Googled what FT was. Do you know what it is, Aaron?
I don't know what it is.
Are you serious?
What's FT?
FaceTime.
Oh, you iPhone people speak some weird language.
Yeah, that's why he's not an iPhone person.
Now, if she said I could duo you, I'd be like, oh, I know exactly what she's talking about.
Is that what that is in
Google
your world?
Duo, yeah.
So it got me thinking, like, I was like, oh, Steph, that's so good. Thanks. Let me use that tomorrow.
Did it come up, by the way?
What do you mean?
When she Googled it, did she get the answer?
Oh, yeah, she got it.
That actually surprises me.
Because she said, she's like, I probably could have figured it out eventually, but I was like, what is this? I'm just doing it up. And because I actually, when she said it to me, I was like, I know this is an abbreviation for something, but what? Like, I even hesitated. I didn't think about it for more than 10 seconds because then she told me. But how often do parents probably question, what the heck is this?
Yeah, usually, and back in the day, you had to ask and be embarrassed and humiliated when your kid called you a boomer. Now you could just Google the thing.
Do you abbreviate everything like that?
No.
You got to save some time, Casey.
No.
You can't say FaceTime. It takes way longer than just FT.
I've never texted anybody about FaceTiming. I usually just hit the button. It's kind of a waste of time, huh? If I'm not going to text you, hey, FaceTime incoming. I'm just going to FaceTime if that's what I'm looking for.
Should I text you when I'm going to call? Because usually it seems that 100% of the time I call at inopportune moments where you decide not to answer.
Yeah, you can text if you'd like. Same result.
Cool.
Definitely same result.
So
the only thing I abbreviate is like OTW.
That's it? No BTW?
No.
No Eage Bowl?
No Eage Bowl. Eage Bowl. Yeah, OTW is the only one I really use. Or WTP. I do use WTP sometimes.
FWIW?
Wait, I know that one. What's WT? What's
WTP?
WTP?
What the plans?
Didn't know that one.
You never use that?
No.
WTP?
You know that, Aaron? You didn't know it.
I know why the face, WTF.
That is not what that is.
Oh. My bad.
Oh. Yeah, I said what the plans a lot and on the way.
I see on the way a bit. I don't use any of that.
This is dumb. You're typing. It's 2 seconds.
Okay.
Why can't you just put it on the way?
But I mean, the kids really that's how they.
It's already over.
They use them all.
There's
more like I don't know.
I've typed it 1,000 times. It comes up when I type O. It is my first autocorrect when I type O. OTW. I just hit it and go. It's over.
Your iPhone's like, this guy's a dummy. Let's just give him this guy probably means this.
Do you use FaceTime a lot?
I do not. Not really. Amanda does.
You know, it's funny when FaceTime came out, you're like, I'm going to use this all the time. I'm going to call mom and everybody. It's like, I don't use FaceTime like at all.
You don't abbreviate LMK?
I do not.
Or ASAP?
I think everybody's always abbreviated.
I've never
ASAP's
actually.
almost its own word, isn't it?
I've never actually put as soon as possible ever on anything.
BRB? I've heard BRB is the new boomer identifier.
Well, here's the thing.
Whoever's writing BRB, people are looking at you like you're 80,000 years old.
Your kids are probably typing BRB who like text with somebody constantly. I'm an adult. I don't text with anybody all day, every day.
What about FTW for the win?
I've never typed that.
ILY when we're done texting?
I've never typed that either.
ILY?
Yeah, when Casey wants to tell me I love you, is what he says.
Like, really? We put ILY as a thing?
I don't think so. I don't.
What about AMA? It's on Reddit. Ask me anything. Yeah.
Like that's a thing.
Really?
JK, LOL. Just kidding.
No, that doesn't happen anymore.
No. FOMO?
Everybody knows that one.
But they don't
FOMO's
type it.
Yeah, FOMO's
it's just
like
the name of us.
Yeah, FOMO's like ASAP.
NVM is one that a lot of people use. Never mind.
Yeah.
OMG?
Used to be LOL.
Used to be.
Started with LOL. Felt like it started with LOL.
Yeah. Lying on the lanai. I know.
So we just get new names for all this stuff.
I'm here for all of it.
I like your WTF one.
I'm hip.
Why the face?
I stole that from Modern Family. Phil Dunphy.
Oh, is
He's
he
the goat.
Did they do a whole show on this?
He did like 3 or 4 of those jokes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's good. 4 o'clock hour up next on ESPN 690. Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break. 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m. $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
Here's Ben and John Lupo, owners of Beards Diamonds.
It's funny. My dad has sold people engagement rings, and now I'm selling their kids engagement rings, and anniversary gifts, and birthday gifts.
We're blessed with the relationships we've built over the years. We have no corporate bosses setting the price. The chain stores can't touch our prices. They just can't.
Check out our full inventory at beardsdiamonds.com, including the largest selection of GIA-certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds. Anybody that steps foot in our store is automatically part of the Beards family.
Beards Diamonds in the St. John's Town Center.
Why let a plumbing company tear up your property to repair or replace your old cast iron pipes when Superior Plumbing and Pipelining's no-dig trenchless service can reline them in just one day? Request an estimate now at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my English and math, making sure I push through all the challenges.
Ariel, your success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Every weeknight at 6 p.m., it's Overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton. And check us out right here on ESPN 690.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau. Check out Action Sports Jacks weekdays from 3 until 6 on ESPN 690.
Live from the Anajar and Levine studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Bucs are bringing in a veteran NBA championship-winning coach. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting they've agreed with ESPN NBA analyst Doc Rivers to make him their new head coach. Following the firing of Adrian Griffin, Rivers did emerge as its top target for Milwaukee, explains Woj.
I'm not sure any coach checks every box for you. There's very few of those. But Doc Rivers, in terms of his track record, has coached a lot of star players, and a coach who they believe gives them a presence that will command the respect of not just their star players, but those in the locker room.
Adrian Wojnarowski on Carlin versus Joe. USA Basketball Executive Director Grant Hill said Draymond Green was left out of the player pool for this summer's Olympics because of his Warriors suspension, which was related to his on-court actions. The Dolphins and defensive coordinator Vic Fangio mutually agreed to part ways. ESPN's Adam Schefter and Jeremy Fowler report Fangio will now be the top target for the Eagles' vacant DC position, and a deal is expected.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, I'll tell you if Lamar Jackson needs to win the Super Bowl to quiet all the doubters. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me. Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
I'll tell you what, I'm a little surprised the company hasn't come down on you.
For all the paper I use?
Not just the paper you use.
Because I use
the quality of paper.
I use the color printer also instead of black and white. I break all the rules, Brent.
But paper is like there's heavy paper and there's light paper and
just
there's
use whatever's in
cardstock
there.
and it's a stock thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This stuff is good.
I just use whatever's in there, man. They must know I'm coming.
This is like the difference between having like good toilet paper and that crappy stuff.
I'll say this. If they didn't want me to use the printer, Brent, they wouldn't have gotten new printers all over the building.
They got new printers in here?
3 of them.
Really? They're expensive.
It's a printing holiday, fellas.
Well, we appreciate all the work you do.
Thank you.
Your work, your stack of stuff says, what happens to Stephon Diggs? Kasey, anything? Did you see his numbers like the last 8-9 games? Not very good.
Yeah, he's gone.
Gone?
Gone?
He's gone.
Gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
Diggs finished 7th in the league in catches this year. Is that shocking to you guys? 7th? I thought it would be much lower.
It felt like he didn't do enough.
It was underperformance. I'm with you on that, but 107 catches surprised me.
It's kind of like a Calvin Ridley deal.
A little bit. Yeah. Like, really? He ended with over 1,000 yards?
Like, does that mean like Justin Jefferson guys and people like that are shifting like the standard where you go catch 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 76 catches, or 107 catches in this case?
Yeah, that used
and it's
to
like
be
not good enough.
It used to be number 1 wide receiver material. I don't think we're there anymore. But he did finish with 1183. His best work by far came in early in the season. He had 100 or more receiving yards in 5 of the first 6 games with their former offensive coordinator. He was on pace for almost 1,800 yards for the season. I mean, that's a hot start, the first third of the year. And then after week 6, he didn't have a single 100-yard game. 4 games under 30 yards, just completely shut down. 6 games under 50 yards, and then in 2 playoff games, 52 and 21. That's not someone you're paying big money to. His contract, by the way, it pays him like a number one. 27.845 is the cap number for next year. If you cut him or trade him before June 1, dead cap of $31 million.
Yeah, they can't get rid of him.
Can't get rid of him.
Even if they wanted to. But I'm not sure they should want to.
His base salary of $18.5 becomes fully guaranteed on March 17th. So if they decide to do something like Kasey is alluding to, they got to do it soon.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not soon by the NFL calendar standard. I mean, that's like the league year. So the clock works that way on a lot of this stuff. But Diggs' relationship has been kind of a rocky one at times in Buffalo.
Also mysterious. You really don't know who he's ever beefing with. Is it McDermott? Is it Josh Allen? Was it Ken Dorsey? Is it Brady? Like, who does the guy have the problem with? Yeah. He did the same thing in Minnesota when he got tired of Minnesota. He tweeted his way out of the franchise into Buffalo. You just got to wonder how many more times he could pull that trick.
Kasey, what's interesting about, I think, at Diggs is when we were doing the stuff with Urban Meyer coming here and fixing the Jags organization. Maybe it was after Urban or maybe it was before. I can't remember. Or I wrote this 7-step plan how the Jags need to fix their organization. And one of them was...
Did they follow it?
I got to go back and look. But one of them
might need to use better stock on the paper.
One of them was take a chance. Ooh. Like be bold. And I always looked at this Buffalo move with Minnesota as a bold move. It felt at the time that Minnesota was getting the better end of it. They gave away a good amount, I thought, Buffalo did. But then it really helped. It looked like it helped Josh Allen and the Bills get to a new level. Mm-hmm. And I think it has over the years. And then, of course, Minnesota ends up getting Justin Jefferson out of that pick, I believe it was.
It was.
And so everybody wins. Well,
everybody wins. It's fine.
Everybody wins. I mean, I think Buffalo's won more playoff games than Minnesota in that time frame. So
they both ain't got no trophies.
That's true. Everybody didn't win big, but everybody wins.
And right now, Buffalo's got a contract that they can't move, and we don't know if they want.
But I don't know if that's the same because I think the contract came,
after.
More recent, and so that's just a different move that they.
Which is why they
that
can't
wasn't
move
the
it.
bold move part. But I do think teams I always say this about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. That was a bold move. 31 teams did not want to do it that way. Build around this guy.
That's fair.
And that was a bold move, and look where it's landed them, really over the years, but especially right now. I think San Francisco has made a bunch of these kind of bold moves to go get McCaffrey, to go get maybe
Trey Lance. Was a bold move.
Well, it was when they made it. They moved up in the draft. You're right, Case.
Chase Young. I mean, not super bold, but I would say McCaffrey seems like a bold move.
You can call Chase Young a splash move.
And also, and obviously, like you guys said, to move up to Trey Lance, even if it didn't work, but you end up on Purdy, blah, 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 all the rest. Look at who else is left. Detroit. Has Detroit made a bold move in your estimation? Is it Goff?
Yeah.
Right?
It was bold to get rid of Stafford.
Yeah.
They've made some bold moves that weren't trades.
They made bold draft moves.
Yeah, they drafted an off-ball linebacker in the top 15.
I could argue the Jags have made bold draft moves too.
That's fair. That's very fair. But Goff, I don't know if I call that a bold move. They had Stafford going to Goff. It just seemed like a decent lateral move until you figured out what you were doing with the franchise.
Yeah.
I think they kind of hit on a few of these draft picks, including some on the offensive line. And Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown ended up being great, but I don't know about bold.
See, I actually think the Jags have made some bold moves, and I think this article was pre-Urban, and I thought Urban was a very bold move.
Yeah.
And it backfired. It was more Trey Lance kind of bold move.
Aaron Rodgers was a bold move.
Aaron Rodgers was a bold move. I think if you look at, I mean, we're talking about a lot these last couple. Keeping Trent Baalke in the organization. That was a bold move by Schott. Very few people were going to do that. Some people call it a dumb move, a bold move. Where else? Oh, Ridley.
Bold move.
I think the Ridley move was a bold move. And one what we thought
Can you
was
call
really
it
bad.
bold if it doesn't have a high risk of damage if it fails?
Well, that's where I keep getting lost with you guys here.
Because it could be a splashy move, but I don't know if it's bold if the worst that could happen is
you lose a second-round pick.
Yeah.
It's a pretty valuable pick, a lot of people
But if you're
would say.
losing the second-round pick, he played for you and made impact for you.
Also, what has the team done with second-rounders recently?
I guess it felt more bold.
It was creative.
Yeah, maybe more creative.
It was shocking.
Splashy.
Maybe their bold move was the fact that they didn't go do anything.
That was bold. I'll give you that.
That was bold.
To sit there and look at them and go, we're good enough to win the Super Bowl was bold.
Reverse psychology.
So I think it has to happen. I think the Bills, I give them a lot of credit for it. I think they're a little bit stuck now, but you're stuck with a guy who's got 107 catches. He's a very talented player.
Not when they mattered.
It's going to be interesting what happens there. That's a sticky situation, I think, in Buffalo, but one they really can't get out of.
Yeah.
Unless they pay a lot to get out of it.
Yeah,
they want to do that.
They'd have to be generous in dealing him. And as long as Diggs isn't hurting the team, and we don't know if he is or isn't, but maybe they do. But if he's not actively a detriment to what you're trying to do, like if he's underperforming, it's one thing, but if he's hurting you, then I think they make that move. Otherwise, I think they wait another year or two.
How about this one? Tom Telesco gets another chance at GM. Doesn't even have to really sit out.
You know what's interesting is I didn't even realize this was a thing until you mentioned it yesterday, and then the more I looked at it, the more I was like, this is really a thing. Almost nobody gets a second shot, very few guys. And even then, to your point, they got to sit out or be a consultant for a year or two. Like there are legit Hall of Fame worthy general managers who aren't retirement age, who aren't either working in the NFL or working as a general manager. They're working as like consultants.
Did you find Oh, this article says it.
Oh, you're looking for a couple of names. Exceptions are like Dave Gettleman, Martin Mayhew, Telesco. They get their second shot, but there are other guys like Scott Pioli. He won Executive of the Year multiple times with the Patriots.
Yeah.
He's never really been seriously mentioned for a GM job.
You know what's really interesting here? Sorry to interrupt, but Rick Smith, Texans GM, never got another chance, but he's been interviewed. Like the Jags, I think he was in that mix. I think Rick Spielman has been in the mix for Jags, maybe not in the general manager spot, it might have been, but also like an assistant to the GM, which also is another position that there was thought might be added to the Jags. Rick Spielman, remember when Baalke was hired? I think there was conversation about Spielman, Casey, that he could come on as well.
But isn't that just delegation of responsibilities at that point? That's not necessarily what you're looking for.
At the very least, it's another voice. But this is very unusual. And by the way, not on this list is Trent.
Shout out.
I mean, it doesn't happen very often. Telesco didn't even have to wait.
No.
Which is really wild.
Well, what's even more wild is he lost the gig in Los Angeles after losing to the Raiders. And then the Raiders were like, hey, why don't you come on over here?
But Bro's draft history is solid.
And to the point of the article, he's already done the research for this draft. Like, if you're going to pick up a guy who's been fired, the time to do it is now before the draft because they've already done the work, or at least started the work. They're hitting the ground running.
Yeah, it can't help but just come right back to Jacksonville. It's like every topic comes right back to Jacksonville. But really, like we're talking about Telesco, we talk about these other guys who don't get a lot of chance at GM, and Baalke gets the chance. Some like, I don't know what it was, like 7 years later. He wasn't even in the league before the Jags brought him in. He was out of the league for a couple of years.
He must have really aced that interview. I know we've talked about this before, but it really makes me wonder, like, I wish I could be a fly on the wall of that interview process.
You want to talk about bold? Say, hey, bro, what you doing? Nothing? Come on down.
Like, I mean, he had to have shined real bright.
Hopefully.
These are not regular people, the Khans. Like, they're billionaire successful people. Not to say that they're flawless and can't make mistakes, but I got to imagine he's a high-intelligence guy who can spot other high-intelligence people with leadership qualities.
Yeah, I think he plays – listen, I think there are guys in the league that play the game really well. They know how the game works, and they play the game well in terms of getting hired or being around. And I don't even know if that's a knock on people. I'm not trying to do that here to Baalke. I'm just saying I think there is a way to play the game when it comes to getting jobs at any level, at any – if you know it pretty good, you can get yourself a gig if you really ace the interview process. Anybody that's ever aced the interview process doesn't always mean it works out well, you know?
I mean, look, Casey's still working here. We know that.
Never had an interview.
Probably should have had an interview.
That is
with Casey.
probably the problem.
But it is fascinating that it's such it's just something that doesn't happen, and it happened here. It's like another outside of the box thing. And a couple years later, one thing about this is like Caldwell brought him in as an assistant. And I think in part when you bring somebody in like this, you think like, okay, well, that's, He's not going to ever be a GM again, but he's been one. And I go back to this all the time about the Jags. I think this could be the biggest criticism of Shad and the organization overall, is that they hire people in spots that would not have a job anywhere else in the league. Nobody else would have hired Tom Coughlin as the executive vice president. There was talk that he would have had some interviews. He didn't, that we know of at least.
Nice.
They hired him as the VP. Doug Marrone would not have had a job as a head coach. Nobody was giving him that opportunity. Tom Coughlin and the Jags gave him the opportunity. And by the way, it worked in 17, but it didn't work long term. Trent Baalke is another example of nobody else would hire him as the GM. He wouldn't be the GM anywhere else, with or without these last couple of years, in the league. Yet he's the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I've been very consistent with this over the years that to me is a problem. I don't think that's trying to pick Tyson Alualu at number 10 overall. That's where the organization gets in trouble. Who? The Jags have shown consistency here even before the Khans owned it, that like head scratching.
Is that a hunt for value? Like, are they trying to find a diamond in the rough when they're not actually in the rough?
I think a little bit.
Yeah, like when you're picking at 10, you're not in the rough. You're in the premium part of the department store. You don't need to find the diamond there. You just need to find the good piece.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just coincidence in all these situations. I don't think it's part of the blueprint. I just find it amazing that we have these scenarios. And sooner or later, it seems like it goes sideways.
Yeah,
then you're like, well, there's a reason he wasn't being hired. But I will say this now. In both instances, in this case, from Coughlin and Marrone and Baalke, they got the pop in year one. Because the first year those guys were in charge in 17, they went to the AFC Championship game. And once you do that, you're like, that was a good call. That was a good decision.
Do you still feel that way the next year?
And then Baalke, same thing, like we did. Listen, I don't know how you can sit here and not defend some of it after that first year, what they were doing and how it was working and how it was going and where it was going. So it's pretty wild. Like, is it completely wrong? I don't know. Two of the best years in this organization's history have come in that kind of situation. But it also is eye-popping from a consistency standpoint to be like, is that really going to work?
Yeah, he came up as a scout with multiple teams, but really spending the large chunk of that with the Niners and now the Jaguars. Is there any world in which he goes back to being something like director of player personnel and they hire somebody else to step in between Peterson and Baalke if Shad enjoys working with Trent that much?
No, I don't think so. I think you either have them or you don't. And I think right now they've got him, and I don't think there's, unless something surprising happens tomorrow. But
because, I mean, even when he was out of football, he was still working for the NFL with player development, evaluation, officiating video review. Like, he was still fairly close connected to players and their play, their abilities, and evaluating them. And that's really the main issue people have here with him.
Like, let's go back to that a little bit. Does it surprise you as much as it surprises me that these guys got jobs and positions that really nobody else in the NFL was kind of even looking for them in jobs? Like, is that a thing?
I just think every owner is looking for the angle. Like, what is the thing that's putting us over the top? And I think a lot of them have to be open-minded to it because you're just coming off of what you thought might have been the answer, and it wasn't. And so I don't think anyone can look in the mirror and be like, well, I'll get it right this time. When you didn't get it right last time, you kind of have to be open to all that. Unless you're Jerry Jones, of course. And then you don't got to worry about firing the GM.
Well, yeah, that's true. You're doing it different in that way, too.
Yeah.
And I guess what I can't fault it for the year one stuff. What you can fault it as you try to continue to find consistency. And what I think you usually get is some toxicity in those moments, too. At least both have showcased that. Or maybe this one is showcasing that. So just kind of fascinating. A couple other things around the NFL. Russell Wilson kind of forgot, like, he doesn't have a team.
Isn't that wild? I saw a report that there is a possibility that he might actually end up back with the Broncos. I'm like, what?
They said that like immediately, but it didn't make sense.
No, and it seems like the only way that would happen is if he agrees to take a significant pay cut. And if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm like, why?
What about him in Atlanta?
I think that is extremely intriguing. Like, I view Russell Wilson in Atlanta like Justin Fields light because they'd be asked to do similar things. Justin Fields obviously being able to do it at a higher level just because he's younger and built for it. But Russell Wilson getting a veteran quarterback in there, especially with a guy like Belichick, like you'll see more of what you saw this year with Russ. A little bit of game management, but successful play. Another 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions and playoff berth, and who knows where you go from there with that team. Kirk Cousins, another name I'm seeing as far as Atlanta.
Who do you like more, Cousins or Wilson for Atlanta?
I like Wilson in Atlanta more than Cousins just because that whole team is based on mobility. The whole team is about speed and versatility, and I look at Cousins and I go, he is one kind of passer.
That's interesting because I look at Russell Wilson. I know he can move, but he seems like he moves so slow. Kasey, who do you like in Atlanta? Cousins or Wilson?
Cousins.
Yeah, I feel better with Cousins as well, and I don't know if he needs to move. You got a good running back, got good players to throw the ball to.
Got a decent run blocking line. I'm not sure about their pass blocking. You got a guy in Justin Jefferson in the Vikings who said, I refuse to sign an extension until we figure out quarterback / bring back Kirk. I find it hard to believe the guy ends up in Atlanta. I don't see a world in which the Vikings let him go. How do you justify that to your guy?
Well, you're a somewhat new coach that's done a pretty good job with what you had even after the injuries. It might be time to reset if you can try to figure out, get my guy.
Valid point. And then I look at Kirk Cousins and I go, here's a guy who's like dying to live in a smaller town without the attention.
Yeah.
And like going to Atlanta to me is the same thing as like the offer to go to New York when he chose Minnesota. I think he'd just rather be in Minnesota.
Yeah, that makes some sense to me. This says the Packers will win the Super Bowl in New Orleans on February 9th, 2025. I think they're drinking the Kool-Aid.
It's just everyone calm down on the Packers.
Here's the one thing that I always laugh at, and you got this a lot with the Packers, and I understand it to a degree. They're the youngest team in the league, and they make the
Jordan
playoffs.
Love looked better than everyone
The
expected.
Dolphins were the youngest team in the league a couple years ago. They made the playoffs too, I think it was. Everybody's young. Like when you do that stat.
Average age,
Like the average age is like 3 months off.
Yeah.
Like it's not that big a deal, in my opinion.
I do think it's a big deal, though, when your important either skill position or team leader or star players are young or old. I think that affects it outsized to what the average number is.
Well, I actually would say that. I think the veteran nature of your team is almost more important than your youth, and where that's at. It's at a tipping scale.
Yes.
Is it going to get too old like maybe the Eagles just did?
Yes.
Or San Francisco could do?
Yeah.
Or is it right in the sweet spot where you can make a run? And the other thing is the youth versus veteran stuff is really more important contractually.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love's going to be up for some dollars.
So what does that do? Dollars. He may
right?
be like a top 5 contract when it's all said and
so
done.
So that stuff from an age or experience standpoint is way more important to me than like the average age is 24.8.
Yeah, it's kind of a
I think it's a nothing stat.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is, in my opinion. What else we got? Oh, this one did say Kirk Cousins, Bill Belichick will be Falcons and win the NFC South.
I do believe Belichick ultimately ends up with the Falcons. I'm not really seeing another good match for him out there.
They apparently just interviewed Vrabel.
Yeah.
Vrabel, Carolina, Vrabel, Atlanta.
Seattle as well. There's also a rumor that's got Dan Quinn teaming up with, is it Chip Kelly, maybe?
Yeah, Chip Kelly's been rooming around about OC in spots.
Yeah, so Seattle, that might be an opportunity for them there. The Vrabel thing continues to shock me.
Me too.
I thought he'd be one of the hottest coaching commodities, if not the guy, because Belichick is so old. And you're just not hearing it. Like, if I'm Philly, they're marching out Sirianni today with Jeffrey Lurie or whoever they're going, Roseman, whoever's going to be out there with them. And how are you not knocking down Vrabel's door?
I feel like he'd be perfect for them.
Perfect. That city, that team. I don't get it.
Kasey, you think Vrabel gets a job? Head coaching job?
Yeah, I do.
So, I mean.
Well, what if the only head coaching opportunity is Carolina?
I think he'll be the head coach of Carolina.
You think he's going to take it? See, if I'm Vrabel and the only offer I get is Carolina, I go, you know what? I'm on the beach for the year. Maybe I consult. And when Ryan Day loses to Michigan again, I'm going to Ohio State.
I would say this now. If they get him Tepper and all these bad moves, that would be a hell of a recovery.
A hell of a recovery. But then again, I'd love to see what happens when they start butting heads, because Vrabel doesn't look like the guy who's going to suffer any of Tepper's nonsense.
Yeah, true. Hey, I think Kasey might be on the phone. Let's get South Beach Gary. He's been hanging around before we take a break. South Beach Gary, what's going on?
Wow, Vic Fangio out. Unbelievable. Is there a possibility Vrabel goes to Miami as their DC?
Well, I think every team that's had an opening at DC has asked that question, and I don't think anybody was waiting for him here in Jacksonville. And so my guess is no, he doesn't want that. He's either going to sit out a year or he's going to be the head coach of one of these positions we're talking about.
Half a loaf's better than none. It's better to get a check while you're waiting out, isn't it?
Well, I think these guys have enough money. I think you give Doug Peterson a call. You give some other coaches a call that have sat out for a year, and you're like, hey, how did that go? Is this worth it? Is it worth trying to do that? And I think a lot of them would probably say yes. Leslie Frazier's the latest one to do that.
Sure. Just interested to see where Miami goes now.
Yeah, I thought that would. I told these guys, I thought that would work better with Fangio. I thought that was a genius move to get him, and I don't think it worked as well, South Beach Gary, as I thought it would.
Well, they said that supposedly he wanted to move closer to his family. That was a mutual parting of the ways. That's what Adam Schefter said, but who knows what was going on behind the scenes. We never really know anywhere but very shocking to me. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I've never in my life believed any single human being or entity that said we mutually parted ways. Yeah. Someone brings it up first.
Well, I will say this. I think, I don't know if it's done. The Titans, are they going to get Bill Callahan from Cleveland? Because he's like their O-line coach or something.
I hadn't seen that.
That could be a mutual one because they're doing right by him maybe. They say, hey, go work with your son. I could see something like that. But
Okay.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, I don't ever believe anybody that says I want to live closer to my family.
That's what I might be doing.
Don't believe that. The only time you believe that is if you have kids under 5 and you need a babysitter or two.
That's how Mike Hampton got out of New York. He was like, "Oh, I want to spend time with my family in 3 other cities in the next 5 years."
We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny, warmer with a brief shower and some coastal fog today. High temperatures in the upper 70s inland into the upper 60s to near 70 at the beaches. A little bit cooler thanks to those colder ocean temperatures. Lows in the 60s tonight, staying mild with even warmer weather on the way for Thursday. Highs near 79. From the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Trevor Gibbs.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed. The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m., $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article, or sensitive personal information about your family. Search engines don't always get it right. But right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff, so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-803-5505 to speak to an expert. That's 800-803-5505.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent Wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early. Get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break, 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays, every Friday. Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
Make a change for our next generation. Apply to become a mentor for at-risk youth in Jacksonville at the Malavia Washington Youth Foundation. Call 904-359-5437 for more information. Again, that's 904-359-KIDS.
Bush Loaded, the greatest hits tour. August 29th, Daly's Place. With special guests, Jerry Cantrell and Candlebox. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Bush Loaded, the greatest hits tour. A great night of incredible rock.
Rich Jones here. If you're an investor who's interested in doing well while doing good, getting solid returns on your investments while making a positive impact, consider investment funds with DLP Capital. Here's Don Wenner, CEO of DLP Real Estate Capital, to tell you more.
With the current housing shortage in the U.S., investing in real estate, especially workforce housing, is one of the safest and most reliable places to invest. We invest in affordable housing for hardworking people and generate amazing returns for each of our investors.
To get your investor's guide and find out more, dial ** invest from your cell phone or visit highyieldreturns.net.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. This month, you can get 50% off a Connecticut K5 drinking water system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Series softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 143-2579.
When it comes to protecting your family and your property, there's a name that has stood the test of time: SafeTouch Security. With SafeTouch, you're never home alone and never away from home. SafeTouch offers 5 layers of defense, controlled by an integrated app giving you peace of mind whether you're home or not. These are state-of-the-art systems, and right now, SafeTouch is offering their once-a-year deal, which can save you up to 50% on your security package. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license EF2000195.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast with a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-DO.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
Filthy bed.
Filthy bed.
Love it.
I like that you guys like certain music beds.
Any music? You don't seem like a music guy. Mama Martineau would be ashamed.
She would. You guys really jumped up the music bed game. I think it was when I went away.
We gave the show a little refresh.
Yeah, we refreshed it.
A little fresh coat of paint. You had the same bunch of music for 4 years. Yeah.
Had a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. I don't think we have had a lot of the same stuff.
Huh.
Like, this thing's 5 years old, and I would say a lot of it's different. I mean, people, look.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think some of the imaging and everything else, I don't feel like a lot of it. We don't. When we first started, we ran this one PSA 450 times every hour. We don't do that anymore.
Okay.
Sometimes we run a PSA just to fill a little time while I'm running
Sometimes,
late.
sure. Yeah, sure. Other times you just run.
You looked at me like, Brent, don't say that. You shouldn't say anything bad about a PSA.
That's not what I meant. What the face I was making was, all right, PSAs seem easy to update. And then I was like, maybe, Aaron, you don't have to criticize everybody and everything every second of the day.
That was your catch.
That was
so
me.
that wasn't more me. That was you. You're catching yourself.
Myself. It didn't have anything to do with you. It's just, Aaron, stop being such a Debbie Downer. Yeah.
The greatest part of this show is I never see Kasey's face.
I'll tell you what, though.
I see the D on the Dream 18 hat, and that's all I see the whole show. But I can tell sometimes if he's paying attention based on where his head is going.
Yep.
Like, he's paying attention now?
No, he's looking at you with a glare. He didn't like that.
Looking at you.
He didn't like that you could see the D from in here.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that you would say.
I will say this. Good call before. You said he thought he was on the phone. I don't know how you see that. I've sat in that chair before.
Yeah, I think he was getting to Sean.
And
the best part was I was on the phone. Brent's like, hey, I think Casey's on the phone. Let's go to South Beach Gary because I'm sure he can do both of these things at the same time.
Because
you put it down.
Yes,
I did not put it down.
It was perfect timing. As he was putting it down, tie at the plate.
I don't think so.
And I was also like, well, South Beach Gary's been on for a while, and we got to get to break, so let's get him in. I didn't want to keep him waiting.
Poor South Beach.
We played that perfect, man. I see you. We see
you
Sean.
Don't.
You know
clearly.
What? Sean's back for more today. Aaron was all over him yesterday.
So it is the same guy.
I think it's the same guy. What's up, Sean?
I'm not getting on Aaron today. I'm just the same guy. We're all good today.
Can you
guys.
get on Kasey? Can you get on Kasey? Just I want to see this.
You'll need a
unfold.
ladder.
See, me and Kasey
Case.
we're kindred hearts, man. Kindred souls. I have no issues with Kasey whatsoever. My man stays silent. He lets you guys beat him a little bit, but then he comes back to you with a heavy hitter when he needs to.
Well, you should see the way he dresses. Then maybe you'd have an issue with him or something.
Sean, why do I already have an idea where this is going?
Oh boy,
this is Brent. You are now 19 hours away from Trent Baalke's press conference tomorrow, and I want you to ask this.
So I'm not. So you're on the right track.
Cool.
But I'm not going with questions though. I have more of a theory.
Yeah, you want Brent to make accusations at the press conference. No
Exactly.
questions, Trent. No questions. I just like to accuse you of a few things.
Exactly. Just
ahead,
let me
Sean.
throw it out and see where it goes.
All right.
So I'm curious because the rumor of Baalke retiring at the same time, he's not going to actually announce it. And then with Brent saying everything needs to be aligned, is there a possibility that he goes out into the presser and says, "Hey, he's not going to say I'm retiring, but there's a background that he's going to retire, but he's going to hire somebody as like an assistant for his backup." Because the Cons like to hire from within. So if they hire, Baalke's personnel decisions have actually been pretty good. His roster choices, not so much, but personnel, been pretty good. So what if the Cons keep him on just to keep the flow of being able to hire someone without hiring a third party to get involved in the state with the city?
So any chance there's an announcement that he's adding someone to the front office?
Adding someone to the front office to take his responsibility when he's ready to go.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sean, stay on the line for a second, though. I want you, give me the difference in your opinion between personnel and roster. So you said he's done well with personnel decisions, but not so great with roster decisions.
You talking just the front office personnel?
Yeah, front office, the front office people. Like his hiring of people in the front office have been, I mean, I don't know names, but I haven't heard anything really bad except for the urban guy who had like a college thing, racial thing going on.
Well, I will say, I'll say that Jag for Life James points out in the chat, Ethan Watt is the assistant.
Ethan Watt is the assistant. Well, I was going to get there. Yeah. So, all right, Sean, I appreciate it. I don't think. Maybe you could do that. I don't think that's going to happen. But Ethan Watt is the assistant GM, if that's his official title. But he's in some kind of role underneath Trent Baalke. And you are right about this. The Jaguars have elevated from within. Quite a bit.
Consistently.
Marone, Baalke, and could it be the next thing? I get what Sean's saying. I guess I wouldn't be floored by that. What I would be floored by is, hey, there's an exit strategy for me to retire. I don't think he's going to give that. Like, nobody says that. I don't think anybody says that.
Yeah.
Because now you look like you're a lame duck. It shows a little weakness to the organization.
Sure.
Shows weakness for you. And by the way, Trent Baalke ain't taking a victory lap anywhere. So it's not like we're looking at that, right? Like if Bill Belichick's going to say, hey, I'm going to retire before the season, okay, victory lap, players do it. Sure. The GM ain't doing it here in Jacksonville. But I guess I could see a ramp where sometime tomorrow be like, hey, we're gonna beef this up a little bit internally. But I guess now that I say it out loud, I don't think it would happen because you already have Ethan Wall. Like, what are you going to promote him to? Like, he's the assistant general manager. Like, you already got that. You're not going to hire an EVP. But that sure as hell ain't going to be Baalke's idea. He doesn't want anybody over him.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I guess as we talk this out loud, Sean, just to answer your question, no, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to say, hey, you know what, the retirement, I thought about it. I'm not ready to do it. I think I want to get this organization back on track. We've got a good plan to do it. And, there's a really good chance after next year I retire. If he said something like that, it would absolutely floor me. I just don't think we're going to get that tomorrow, even if he were to think it in the context of what Sean asked. But I just don't think he's going to say it. And that's the thing. We go back to the top of the show here. I don't think Trent Baalke's going to reveal a whole lot for you, the fan, in terms of the situation inside the building. Like the questions you have, the questions we're kind of talking about or we have, or the rumblings that are going on from retirement to power struggle to what decisions. Your call to fire Mike Caldwell, your call to bring in the next DC. Like, how involved were you? Like, I just don't think we're going to get a whole lot on the plumbing of the Jacksonville Jaguars tomorrow during the Baalke presser. What I do think he hopefully sheds a little more light on and is not in like denial mode or abrasive mode on is the roster. Because at the end of the day, that's why he should be out there. Hopefully not in a situation where you have to address the other things I just said.
Right.
But he should be out there addressing the roster. And there are critical questions around the roster, including signing two of the most significant players that have played for your organization. One that you have to sign or do something with, and the other one that you might, in terms of Trevor Lawrence. Josh Allen was a previous one, if you're not catching on. But then the other questions around the roster, like what to do, like what's the question on Calvin Ridley? It's going to be a muddied one. He's not going to sit there and tell us their plans. They never do. This is a little bit like the draft.
Yeah.
But this is an important mess. Oh, it's an important opportunity for Baalke to give some explanation of what happened in the collapse down the stretch and how to turn the ship back to where we thought it was. And I'll be interested to see if he can deliver that. I don't have a lot of confidence he will, but I if he can, more power to him.
Do you think fan noise led to this press conference? Let me ask it a different way. Do you feel like this was on the schedule at the end of the season?
No.
So if not fan noise, then what noise led to this?
Yeah, I think I was going to answer your fan noise question as yes. It's just me talking, right? Me thinking. You're asking the question, right? Because we joked about earlier, like, hey, we're talking about this, and is that why? No, he did not come out to a presser tomorrow because we were ranting about this yesterday on the show.
Say it, though. Like, who's going to prove us wrong?
Yeah, I mean, he might. But I don't believe that. I believe this was decided in the last couple of days anyway, once they figured things out about the last week, wherever that was going. I think it should have been decided after, like, Sunday night of the end of the regular season or Monday. But nobody's telling Trent Baalke what to do.
Not even Schad?
Well, he could, but I don't think he does it. I don't think Schad, is like, hey, you got to get out there and talk. Let's go.
I always think it's
something.
something.
I don't think he does. Now, I could be wrong. I just don't see that.
I always think it's something that we're not expecting or just aren't thinking about. Like every year, Trent takes a trip to the French Alps, and it's around this time, and he's got to do the presser before he leaves, and that's why it's this time every year.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Here's what you asked me if I think it's because of the outcry. I think it is.
Because it's not just fans mad. It's now unverified and unattributed reports about the dynamic between him and Doug and the future of his employment via retirement. Like, there are all these now invented questions that are floating around that didn't exist 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think and here's the other part of this. They all listen. And I don't mean they listen to every show and listen to everything said.
But they hear the noise.
They hear the noise. It gets back to them. They know what's being said. He absolutely knows that retirement stuff has been pushed out there, that somebody is telling somebody. And see, I think that's the bigger question. If he answers no to these things, no retirement, no struggle, then who's the rat?
I feel like inside these organizations, they know who the leaks are, especially when depending on, like, is it Rappaport? Is it Schefter? Is it a local person? Like, don't you feel like they know who talks to who?
But I think this one's really interesting on the retirement front. The struggle thing, yeah, maybe. But I think the retirement one's really interesting. That's a very personal thing.
Sure. Very specific, too.
Like, if I was going to retire or do something, guys, like that, and I tell you to, like, maybe I just tell you.
Right.
And Casey. I'm probably not telling everybody else in the building
You're
that
definitely
until I'm
not,
ready, right?
because you don't know.
And so, like, there's a very small circle that knew that if that is what he was thinking. Well, now if I'm Trent, I'm like, who the hell told people in my circle? I only told maybe I only told one person. Maybe I told two. Maybe I told four. But it's a small circle.
What if Trent was the one who said it?
Yeah, see, there's always been thought that Trent is Rappaport's source, right? That's what everybody thinks. And maybe it's true. Now, that's too big. If you're thinking about it, you're not going to tell Rappaport that because that's too big of a voice to get something.
But what
like
if he's not? What if it's like a parry of an attack? He's taking lots of heat, and he's like, hey, look, I'll walk away. I told the owner they don't want me to, or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think this report didn't come out of Rappaport or anything like that. I don't think it's Trent. I don't think Trent's calling Pete Prisco and saying, hey, you know what I mean? I don't think it's coming there. But back to your point, do I think that he heard? I think he heard the noise. I think he also, listen, we've been doing this. I brought in a list of the NFL teams that GMs have talked, head coaches had talked, owners had talked. The Jags were on a very short list at that time when we brought this up of GMs or just head coaches talking after the season. And let's be honest, when Doug talked, that was still like post-mortem Tennessee.
Yeah,
rather than big picture off-season.
Sure.
Right? And so I think he probably looked around the league. A lot of people are doing this. Hey, maybe somebody got to him and was like, or maybe he got to himself. So, well, you did this when you won. You maybe got to go face it when you lose. You got to answer some of these questions. But I think some of this had to be inspired by the noise of the last week. Because here's the other thing. These guys don't want to talk.
No, nobody wants to answer to anybody about the decisions they're making, with the exception of the people they have to answer to, and you still don't want to answer to those people. But the reality is, if you're the general manager and you're asking the owner to look fans in the face and go, hey, we want you to buy season tickets. We want you to buy jerseys and concessions and parking passes and be behind the plan to throw tax dollars at a stadium, then you have to justify your future vision for this football team.
Absolutely. That's it, man. You got to get out there. And I think you should get out there in alignment with your head coach and everybody else. But I don't think that part is going to happen here. And we'll still be a little offset when we get the answers we want. But, hey, the bottom line is, and somebody said this to me on social media today, hey, been asking for him to talk. He's talking.
Yeah.
And that's a reality. Now we see what he says coming up on Wednesday morning here in Jacksonville. We'll be back. Brent Friends on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet, now open in St. Augustine.
Here we grow again. Terry Norvell here from the Young and Norvell Show, announcing our new expanded hours as we are now on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's right. You now have a standing lunch date with me and my broadcast partner, former Gators basketball star and current SEC network analyst Patrick Young, every weekday for 2 solid hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690. You supply the lunch. We provide the most compelling sports talk in town. Find out for yourself weekdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the Young and Norvell Show on ESPN 690.
I'm Mark Anajar. I'm Glenn Levine.
I'm Ellie Anajar.
Together, we're Anajar and Levine. If you've been hurt in a car crash, we'll fight to get you the maximum compensation you deserve.
Call Anajar and Levine for your free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE.
Main office, Jacksonville.
The January weather has been fluctuating, those temperatures dipping down in the evenings and mornings. Is your heating system safe to use? The team at Bold City Heating and Air specializes in system revitalization and optimizing your system so it runs safe and at peak efficiency. Schedule your winter system checkup for only $49 at boldcityac.com. Bold City Heating and Air can help you save hundreds of dollars on your energy bill, too. Get the checkup, save money, and make sure your AC unit is safe for all the weather conditions. Schedule online at boldcityac.com.
Make the superior choice when you hire a plumber. From unclogging drains and water heater repairs to complete cast iron pipe replacements, Superior Plumbing and Pipelining has you covered. Request a free estimate from Superior Plumbing and Pipelining at superiorplumbingjacks.com.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great, too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
Life is about making decisions, and right now you can make the decision to get lasting relief from that awful joint pain that you feel. Do it for the rest of 2024. Do it for the rest of your life. Don't go another year compromising because of that pain in your knees, your shoulder, your back, your hips. Call QC Kinetics now. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative non-surgical pain relief. Your body has what it needs to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. QC Kinetics can make it happen. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. This is not a Band-Aid. This is a revolutionary treatment that can get you moving again, get your life back. And hey, it's non-surgical. If this is the year you decide to fight back against that pain, take the first step now and call QC Kinetics. Get a free consultation, 904-274-5522, 904-274-5522 in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra. The future of pain treatments has arrived, and QC Kinetics has tens of thousands of satisfied patients. You can be the next one. 904-274-5522, a free consultation with QC Kinetics.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
If you've been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, we have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-378-4750. So if you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, call now. Find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-378-4750 to speak with a live person now. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break. 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Welcome back to Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Aaron Schachter and Kasey Kuhrts taking you through to 5 p.m., where the full contingent of the Brent Friends radio show brings you football at 5 with a very special guest scheduled to appear. Case, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say the name of the special guest. I don't want them to cancel. I don't want to have a Jeff Risdon opportunity there, so I won't. Did you see the 2024 all-rookie team has been announced? All-rookie team. You may be surprised to know, Jaguars with nobody on the starting roster.
That does not surprise me.
There is honorable mention case. Honorable mention.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take a guess?
For the Jags?
Yeah.
Anton Harrison.
Anton Harrison would be the honorable mention at tackle.
Since it's the only rookie that really did anything.
The other starters at tackle on the all-rookie team are DeJuan Jones, round 4, pick 111. Darnell Wright, round 1, pick 10.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see too many of the other tackles taken the first and second round, though. Not even an honorable mention. It was an off year for tackles in the draft, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing.
That you don't see them?
Like, I don't think that makes it better for the Jags.
I think it does a little bit in that you found a starter, right? A 17-game starter who wasn't an absolute turnstile at a time where it looks like almost everybody missed. Yeah. So I know I've been out here saying, yeah, I know he's not the best. I know you can upgrade the position, rookie stuff, but I think it could be a lot worse. What is it, Arizona? Talk to Arizona about Paris Johnson Jr.
Yeah, not great.
Not great. All right, the other side of this, we'll do football at 5. We'll reset on everything Jaguars and a very special guest calling in to talk to us about Jaguars roster construction, general managerial decisions, and much more. You're listening to Brent and Friends on ESPN 690.
When it comes to protecting your family and your property, there's one name in the home security industry that has stood the test of time: SafeTouch Security. For decades, SafeTouch has been and continues to be the leader in home security systems, offering the latest technology at the lowest price. SafeTouch offers 5 layers of defense for your home, giving you peace of mind whether you're home or not. The SafeTouch Security Yard sign lets everyone know this house is protected. Then there's the SafeTouch Perimeter Guard cameras, the two-way communicators, and the crash and smash technology, all controlled with an integrated app which can be used anywhere there's internet. With SafeTouch, you're never home alone and never away from home. These are state-of-the-art systems that you would expect to pay hundreds for. But right now, SafeTouch is offering their once-a-year deal, which can save you up to 50% on your security package. Call 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license EF2000195.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank, non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. This month, you can get 50% off a Connecticut K5 drinking water system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Series softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 143-2579.
The Florida sun is burning bright and coastal waters are sparkling. You need a boat. Come to the Jacksonville Boat Show, January 26th, 27th, and 28th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. Don't miss killer deals on boats and accessories, plus fishing seminars, kids events, music, and fun. The Jacksonville Boat Show, presented by ViStar Credit Union. Tickets at boatjacks.com. That's boatjacks.com. Buy a boat.
What do I need to know about AI? The impact of artificial intelligence, or AI, on business is still to be determined. There's speculation about popular AI bots and whether they will displace human interactions. As an aspiring or current business owner, you may be thinking about how AI might affect customer service, sales, or hiring and managing employees. In response to growing curiosity about AI, SCORE offers webinars on this emerging topic. You can check out our calendar for the next one being offered and register for free under Take a Workshop at score.org/Jacksonville.
Eat Your Yard Jacks is a local nonprofit with a mission to empower people to eat local 1 yard at a time by providing resources and education to allow everyone to enjoy urban agriculture. Visit us at our edible plant nursery and demonstration site open to the public every Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4. We also provide employment opportunities to a marginalized population in the special needs community. For more information about us and what we do, call 904-343-9575 or visit eatyouryardjacks.org.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
O'Reilly. Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Super Start battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Every weeknight at 6 p.m., it's Overtime with Kurtz in Middleton, and check us out right here on ESPN 690.
Live from the Anajar and Levine studios, Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Doc Rivers is back in the NBA. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports Rivers reached an agreement in principle to take over in Milwaukee. Rivers, an ESPN NBA analyst and NBA championship-winning coach, was the top target of the Bucks after firing Adrian Griffin. It'll be Doc's 5th NBA head coaching job. First Take host, Stephen A. Smith.
On 3 occasions, he's blown a 3-1 lead. In Game 7s, his career record is 6-10 as a coach, and he's lost the last 5 straight. I'm not saying this year has to be the year, but if Doc Rivers doesn't succeed at this job, my prediction is it will be his last as a head coach in the NBA.
Rivers taking over a Bucks team that is second in the Eastern Conference. NFL Dolphins and defensive coordinator Vic Fangio mutually agreed to part ways. He'll now be the top target for the Eagles' vacant DC position, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter and Jeremy Fowler. Chiefs Pro Bowl guard Joe Thuney did not practice today because of a pectoral injury. It's unlikely he plays against the Ravens in Sunday's AFC Championship game.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy, coming up Thursday. I'll tell you if Lamar Jackson needs to win the Super Bowl to quiet all the doubters. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, your chance to win $1,000 as ESPN 690 wants to pay your bills. Sponsored by the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, JOI, where the pros go.
Enter the word HOPE. That's HOPE at ESPN690.com by 15 past the hour.
Your next chance to win $1,000 and have ESPN 690 pay your bills happens tomorrow morning at 8. This is a nationwide contest. Message and data rates apply.
ESPN 690 and Action Sports Shacks presents Brent and Friends.
Today is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time.
We're getting a little punchy around here, people. It's been a lot in a row.
I would love to punch you guys.
Ow! It really hit me. Brent and Friends with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and Kasey Kuhrts. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. ESPN 690.
What's happening? Football at 5. Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, Kasey Kuhrts. It's Wednesday, which means Baalke's talking tomorrow on Thursday. I think I said Wednesday. That would already happened.
True.
Would have been done. I did have to cancel something for tomorrow because Baalke's talking.
Really? What was that?
Just a meeting.
Meeting.
But that also tips you off a little bit that the Jaguars, I feel like it tips us off that this wasn't like super planned like a long time ago, that we're getting news 24 hours or less than 24 hours before the presser.
Yeah, it seems like a little haphazardly thrown together, I think.
Yeah. I don't want to make I don't think it's reactionary to the last 24, 36, 48 hours or anything like that. But I do think it's somewhat reactionary to the last week. And when was it decided? And heck, you know what? How about this? If the reports and rumblings that we've heard about retirement, maybe he really contemplated it and needed the week.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's some validity to the report. Do you think he would admit that?
Like, I would if I were, like, why not? Listen,
Why
I
not?
thought about it. Like,
Tell him
why
he
not
went to
be
a darkness
transparent?
retreat or something.
Listen, I wanted to catch my breath after the season. That was really disappointing. I wanted to make sure we're going in the right direction. I was still all in it. I think we can get where we want to go. Like, listen, do that. Like, that's fine. I don't think he's going to do that. But, like, I don't know. You tell me if that comes across that way, is that a problem if you're a GM? I think it's a little bit different if you're a player. Like, do you want to hint that? I mean, you might be half in, half out.
I had a problem with it when it was Aaron Rodgers. I thought it was not a good look to be, quote, 90% retired and then come back and play as the starting quarterback.
You did have a problem with that.
That being said, I don't feel the same way when it comes to the GM role. And if the guy decided he wants to make one more go of it and the owner's like, well, thank goodness, I'm glad you're back, then that's the only people that matter in that decision-making process. Now, it could be the right or wrong decision. Ultimately, that gets figured out. But it's not like the fans have a say. They could just root for or against.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think anything. Here's the thing about it. If he were to say it like that, I don't think it hurts him in any way. I really don't think it's going to help him in any way either. But I don't think he has to be like that. I don't think he has to be in denial mode. I mean, it's okay to be like, yeah, I was contemplating it, and I'm still in it, man. I want to go. I'm more excited. See, that's how you turn this thing. This isn't his personality, and we know that. That's how you turn this thing. I'm more excited than ever. Like, yeah, we got some really good players. We need to fix some things. We miscalculated on. Like, I want to write the speech for Baalke tomorrow. Like, I really do. Like, I can write this thing for him the way it should be done, if you're aligned the way it should be said. And
you don't think you're getting it?
I don't think we're getting it. Like, I really don't think we're getting it. And I think it's only going to, from a structural standpoint, again, add to the curiosity, maybe the angst, the fan base. Listen, the fan base, I don't want to say the fan base is divided on Baalke. I think the fan base is a bit, what's the word? I would say divided on the future of the Jags. But I don't know if that's it. I think they're, like, the funeral isn't over yet here from the collapse.
I just think there's general dissatisfaction. And that dissatisfaction has been pointed at the general manager for multiple years now. Whether earned or not, deserved or not, that's where it's been.
Yeah. This is an interesting. Jimmy says this. Any chance Belichick goes to Atlanta to get the wins record, Vrabel becomes a DC and coach in waiting. I think that's a better option than Carolina head coach for Vrabel.
I'm with you on that. It's a better option than Carolina. And if he was going to be a DC anywhere, I think it's easy to go, well, Belichick not only is the greatest of all time, he was my mentor. I played for the guy. I know the organization. He kind of is the inspiration for the way I do my organization. Like, all of that makes more sense to me than coming to the Jaguars as DC or whatever other team was daydreaming about it.
The only thing that's interesting here, Casey, I would say in that scenario, and again, we're just kind of making up the scenarios, a question posed, but what if Belichick handles the defense? So, like, wouldn't you'd feel like almost an offensive guy could be the heavy co-coach, et cetera, whatever, with Belichick?
Likely. But, I mean, either way, you're going to need a defensive coordinator.
This is also the guy that instead of hiring an offensive coordinator, hired two defensive coordinators to be his defensive and offensive coordinator in New England.
That is fair.
Didn't necessarily work out, but he did it.
What do you think the chances are that Belichick doesn't get a gig?
Very slim.
Kasey, you on board with that?
Yes, very slim. He's going to be somebody's coach.
It just feels like it's Atlanta or nothing right now.
He's going to be Atlanta's coach.
And Atlanta keeps interviewing everybody. Why would you keep doing this?
You got to be sure.
You got to be sure. I mean, you've had so many interviews.
Maybe it's possible that Belichick is asking for a very specific kind of structure and Arthur Blank isn't ready to commit to it.
They're asking everybody about Belichick. Like, you think he's still got stuff left?
They're asking the next candidate.
The interviews aren't actually about themselves. They're like, what have you seen in Belichick? They're like,
Could you imagine Dan Quinn shows up in Atlanta and the first question is, so Dan, tell me about Bill Belichick.
Well, listen, here's one reason why you do interview a lot of people. We've done this process in Jacksonville a long time, and I think this is advantageous. We've talked about the process, how many people are interviewed, all this stuff. You do learn from other organizations. And if you're a good listener and a good note taker and everything else, like this was the problem with the Urban Meyer hire, is because it was almost you got the idea Shad was so entrenched in trying to get Urban, and that was a chase to get his guy, which, by the way, at the time, I got to be honest, we applauded it. It's like, hey, you wanted your guy, you got your guy. Not anybody's been able to really do that. Even Dallas, I think, had tried to do it at one time, couldn't do it. And so you got it. But you get so entrenched that way, you're so tunnel visioned there, so you're like, got to get it. Now, you do some other interviews, but are you all in on the other interviews? Then he did just the opposite again when he hired Peterson, where he got everybody in there. Like, it was very Atlanta-like, where it's a ton of interviews. And what you do in there is you learn. You learn from people, you learn from other organizations, you learn what's worked, what hasn't worked. And so for Schott, I think that has been over the years, because he's had to do this quite a bit, probably a very educational process as a guy new to the league 10, 11 years ago. And probably learned a lot that's put him in certain situations. But also, as we say this all the time, as we try to figure out, there's no cookie cutter way to do this. You know, there's just
it's different
not.
everywhere. Yeah.
It's different everywhere. But I just wonder now, guys, I really feel like Atlanta, the rumors, and this is all like a perception thing that was being reported and everything else, but the more they interview other people, the less I think Belichick's getting the job. I don't see it like you guys do. I don't think I'm not here to the point where I'm like, he's not getting it. But last week, I think he had his second interview on Friday. Okay, he's getting it this weekend. They're going to make the announcement. Well, here we are on Wednesday. If he don't have the job by the end of the week, like, I don't think he's getting it. And if he doesn't get it, the Chargers hire Harbaugh. Titans already have their guy. The Eagles staying. The Cowboys staying.
Washington.
He's not taking Carolina. Ben Johnson looks like he's going to get the Washington job, in my opinion. Seattle has a couple of other options.
I got one more for you that's not being discussed until I saw this morning.
What you got?
Buffalo.
And Buffalo's interesting. Buffalo's
AFC East. You get your quarterback that you can run off wins with. You're familiar with the division. McDermott's on the hot seat. You did say it. You did say it.
Yeah.
But I don't trust you when you say things.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean,
have you seen this Pelissero thing, by the way?
What was that?
About the Jags?
I didn't.
Okay. How about that? Is this really Tom? Tom?
Yeah, check the Twitter.
Well, you check this real quick, though. Just answer this question. If Belichick doesn't get a job, does he retire?
Isn't that what that means?
I can't imagine a world in which
year off? No
he
way.
doesn't get a job.
Guy, we just went through it all.
I know. It's still, I can't wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I get that.
I think if he doesn't get a job, it's over forever. At 73, taking a year off, it's got to be over.
All right. What you got on the breaking news front?
Okay. Getting pushed for Jags breaking news for Belichick. That's wild.
Oh, come on, man. Belichick retired. We got 50 people on. They like that topic.
We talked fictional Jags for 2 hours. I finally have real Jags, and I can't even break in.
Hey, let's go to a quick break before we do the breaking news.
Jags' new linebackers coach.
Who is this guy?
Matt House, LSU DC.
Oh.
Kansas City linebackers coach from 19 to 21. How about that?
There you go. Matt House.
See, now this is what you do if you're hiring somebody from college. Defensive coordinator in college, you make him a positions coach. See what it looks like.
Why do you have such a hard time with the college stuff? Is it because of Urban? You're jaded?
Oh, yeah,
it just never works.
It doesn't work, yeah. Like, it just hasn't worked.
Well,
it's worked in small samples, like Pete Carroll.
But it didn't.
Yeah, but you guys are looking at the head coach stuff. Like, do we know it doesn't work, like, positionally? Because I'll give you a guy, Todd Monken was just the OC at Georgia, and now he's doing a hell of a great job as the OC at Baltimore.
But wasn't before
he
Georgia
was an NFL guy.
Okay,
He was.
Yeah,
He
that's a
wasn't.
difference.
He
Cliff
had been in the
Kingsbury,
NFL.
though, is a prime example of what Casey's talking about. Goes from a college head coach to a pro head coach. It's a complete disaster. Goes back to college, and now he's being talked about as an offensive coordinator, which he might be very successful
For
with.
the Eagles.
Yeah.
I just want, I don't know this. I really don't know how many guys come from college in this respect. Like we were talking about Minter. And again, Minter has some pedigree here in the NFL as well, family, everything else. But
I think it's tough to 2 months ago be looking at 18-year-olds and then going and looking at Foye Oluokun and looking at Josh Allen.
You think everyone just looks good at that point?
No, there's just a major difference on how you're communicating with
Also,
how that works.
Your fourth stringer is probably just as good as your starter, wherever you came from.
So I wasn't fired up about it, especially when you're talking about it kind of has to work or you might have jobs on the line. So I thought that wasn't the best move. I thought the Falcons hire is good. I like it, but also it's somewhat safe. I think this is a move that if you've identified a guy as potentially being a defensive coordinator in the NFL, something like that, this is a move to get somebody in like that. So,
well, let's see what we got on Matt House then. So you mentioned NFL with Kansas City. Let's go all the way back.
Let's go all the way back.
And
what do we got?
We start way back at Michigan State. He's a Michigan State alum. He's born in Michigan.
We're going way too far.
North Carolina, Gardner-Webb, Buffalo. Is that the college?
Probably.
I think so. Carolina Panthers, assistant special teams coach.
How about that?
St. Louis Rams, defensive quality control coach.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, I think this is the college. Secondary coach, defensive coordinator. They really should identify that. FIU, defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. Kentucky, inside linebackers coach, special teams coordinator. Kentucky, defensive coordinators and inside linebackers coach. Oh,
how about that?
Oh, Josh Allen.
How about that?
Same time? Were they there at the same time?
Yeah, 17-18 would be it.
Oh!
Kansas City Chiefs linebackers coach, LSU defensive coordinators and linebackers coach.
Look at Brent uncovering the info that matters.
That they have kept. Now we'll see if
it also means they're signing Chris Jones, by the way.
Well, that would be great.
That's what that means.
Because
I'd love to go that all in for that for like a year, but maybe Snead. Does he have a good relationship?
Will be available, and the Jaguars could absolutely use.
Doesn't say here on Wikipedia if they have a good relationship.
You sure it's not there at the bottom on the footnotes?
Let me check.
Okay, let me ask you guys this: then how much does a move like this and keep when you fire the whole staff, but you keep Shuey, the outside linebackers coach, in a move like this that this has ties to Josh Allen? Tell you how much they want to keep Josh Allen.
Totally.
Yeah.
Is it more circumstantial? Is it coincidence?
Well,
or is
especially
it like,
if we find out that they talked to Josh Allen and said, hey, do you have any opinions on anybody?
Happy accident, maybe.
No, there is no such thing.
There is. Maybe.
Not with $1 million contracts on the line. Come on.
I don't think this is it. I'm just saying maybe. No, I think that wasn't an accident.
There's fire by that smoke is what you're saying. Hey, having almost nothing to do with the Jaguars, but interesting to me nonetheless, LSU has completely had to redo the entire coaching staff outside of Brian Kelly this offseason. They just lost their defensive coordinator. They've got 2 new co-offensive coordinators. They've got new tight ends coach, new defensive line coach, new linebackers coach, new edge coaches, new cornerbacks coach, new safeties. The whole thing is new except for Brian Kelly.
Boys have no chance.
Isn't he in like the final deal or close to it? Final year of his? I got to check on his contract, but
gosh, it feels like he just got there.
Did he just get there?
Their whole team got to be in the portal.
They got to be signing like 8 to 10 year deals now in college. Like when you make a move like that.
That's a good point.
This is fascinating to me though, this side of it, because this is obviously this guy's at Kentucky. When Josh Allen was at Kentucky, I always get confused. Josh Allen drafted 19. Does that sound right? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23? Yeah. 5th-year option, 19. So he's there with Josh Allen.
16, 17, and 18.
And, again, Shuey's interesting part. Now, Shuey, I don't know if that's just a Josh Allen thing, but I'm sure exit meetings, stuff like that. Hey, Josh, how much do you like him? Trayvon, how much do you like him? Also, by the way, the outside linebackers were the best rush tandem in the National Football League from the sack standpoint. Like, performance kind of wins the day there, too, for Shuey. So we'll see if he stays on board in this new capacity with a new defensive coordinator. But Matt House, but if you're just jumping in, reportedly hired by the Jags as a linebackers coach, and he spent time at Kentucky when Josh Allen was there. And I know you don't make just a move for this, but I also think it adds up. The tea leaves show there is some conversation with Josh Allen. There's also like, hey, let's give him some more familiarity for more reasons why he should sign the deal that we're going to offer. This is a good thing, by the way, for me. Like, let's make our key players as happy as they can be.
Comfortable,
now,
familiar, yeah.
They can't run the organization. Like, there's a different deal there. But they can be comfortable. They had to lean. I got to believe they called Josh and be like, hey, what do you think of this guy? You know, he's got a good record. We like what he's done in Kansas City. We like how he could fit with us. But what do you think of him? And when you do that to a player now, I think that's really important. We talked about this a lot with Trevor coming out of last year. Will you listen to Trevor Lawrence when it comes to Evan Ingram? Will you listen when it comes to whoever else? And I think the organization did. And I think Trevor's like, I will have a voice in that. I will say, hey, we need Evan back. And that's very important here because I started the show today, guys, saying right now the perception of the Jacksonville Jaguars with what's going on here potentially with Baalke or their front office is a bad look from a few standpoints. You're trying to get a big stadium proposal pushed by. You want more good feeling around that than you want any toxic feeling around that. You're trying to get Josh Allen signed because he is one of the best players you've ever had in franchise history, quite frankly. He's on the list. And he's putting his name all over the record books, and he just had a monster year. You need to come to a deal with him. And then Trevor is really the most important piece here to say, listen, we value you. You're going to be here for a long time. We need to make things good around you, not another toxic situation that existed when you first got in the league with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, hiring Josh Allen's linebackers coach kind of feels like when a team hires a throwing coach for the quarterback they just drafted.
Fair. Yeah, but this guy's got a better resume than that.
No, he's got a great resume. He's got credentials, but it kind of feels a similar
I get what you're saying. Like
it.
you're saying, like, hey, when big time recruit kid comes up, we're going to make a coaching move for you as well.
Well,
like
you're trying to add to the comfort is really what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to make the person feel as comfortable as possible and give them as many incentives to stay as they can get.
How about that?
So anyway, that's a very interesting move. Tom Pelissero reporting Matt House is the new linebackers coach. And what I do like, I really like this in a coaching staff when guys have experience beyond the position they're about to coach. And this guy has been a defensive coordinator multiple times in his career, so he understands the totality of the defense, not just the position. I say this on the offensive side with a guy like Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy is a very valuable member of that coaching staff, in my opinion, because he's been not only an OC, but he's been a head coach as well.
Oh, yeah. Remember we did this a couple weeks ago? Who would have been your interim? Him.
That's a good call. Probably would have been. Great call, yeah.
Yeah.
But
they were ready.
Yeah, they
had a plan.
That could have been him.
Could have been. Definitely would have been.
It would have been him.
Forgot about bro. My bad.
No, I did too. That's right. But I think, I really like those kind of hires. That's why, Jim Bob Cooter, when he was here last year too, made a lot of sense. He was another guy that's been an OC, but actually was rumored to be a head coach. I think he might have interviewed for a head coach job here in Jacksonville in one of the cycles.
He just interviewed for another big job last week or 2 weeks ago.
Was that the Philly one? I think Philly was talking about him. So anyway, I like that. So I like that about this guy. I don't know a lot about Matt House, let's be honest, but I do like the fact that
it checks out.
Yeah, some of those things add up. The LSU defense is just okay.
Hey,
plays in the SEC.
But nobody plays defense in college, right?
Back-to-back double-digit win seasons. I hear that's all because of the defense, not the Heisman-winning quarterback.
Yeah. So anyway, interesting news, and what it says maybe for prioritizing where, if we wonder, going into tomorrow's news conference with Baalke, another question that will be asked, right?
Ooh, you think that's why they did it?
Where's Josh Allen on the priority list?
Just dropping news.
And I think this showcases a little bit.
Looking at a lot of linebacker grades from the Chiefs rosters of 19, 20, and 21, trying to see if there's any nuggets there to glean.
That was before the early part of that, not so great, but actually built into a very good linebacking core over the last few years. Bolton.
Bolton was a rookie in 21, I'm pretty sure.
Was he 21?
He wasn't on the team in 20, so you're probably right.
So yeah, they would have drafted him.
Didn't they have remember the Jags had last year for a bit, or maybe 2 years ago, was it Damian Thomas? No. I mean, it was a linebacker. It came
I
from
think
the
that was a
Chiefs.
while ago.
Was it that long ago?
21 was a big year for the linebackers in Kansas City.
Like a good one?
Yeah, it was pretty decent.
All right. And why did he go to LSU?
Because he's a defensive coordinator. What are you talking about?
Probably made more job as the more money as the DC than the linebacker coach in Kansas City.
Well,
It
that
just
makes
means
sense.
more.
Yeah.
Damian Wilson from the chat.
Damian Wilson, thank you.
Wasn't that a long time ago?
I don't think it was that long ago. No, I think they
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Are you sure that wasn't the Bad Jags?
I think those are Urban Jags.
I thought it was before the Urban Jags.
I don't think so. I'll have to check. We'll be back. Brent Friends on ESPN 690. Word is might have a special call coming in.
It was the Urban Jags, by the way.
Really? So the Bad Jags. All right. Fair enough.
Hey, when in doubt, throw out the Bad Jags.
You got a good shot.
8 out of 10. Let's
got
go.
a real good shot.
We'll be back on ESPN 690.
With stores in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra, it's been Underwood's business to have what she wants since 1928.
The January weather has been fluctuating, those temperatures dipping down in the evenings and mornings. Is your heating system safe to use? The team at Bold City Heating and Air specializes in system revitalization and optimizing your system so it runs safe and at peak efficiency. Schedule your winter system checkup for only $49 at boldcityac.com. Bold City Heating and Air can help you save hundreds of dollars on your energy bill too. Get the checkup, save money, and make sure your AC unit is safe for all the weather conditions. Schedule online at boldcityac.com.
We're dealing at Best Bet St. Augustine, the only card room and sports bar in St. Augustine, Florida. With nonstop action, poker games of all limits, exciting tournaments and table games, and a sports bar showing all the action, Best Bet St. Augustine has you covered. Don't miss our delicious dining options, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and our always popular freshly made sushi. Best Bet St. Augustine is located at 800 Marketplace Drive off exit 311, where I-95 and State Road 207 meet. Learn more at bestbetjacks.com.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mild tonight under partly cloudy skies with some areas of fog as temperatures only drop to near 60 degrees. And a warm Thursday under partly cloudy skies tomorrow. Highs near 80 degrees in the afternoon, a little bit cooler at the beaches. For the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jack's First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Proud to offer a huge selection of both lab-grown and natural diamonds at the lowest prices guaranteed.
Start the year with a new or used vehicle at Nimnick Buick GMC. New year, new truck. There are trucks, and then there's the truck, the GMC Sierra. I love mine, and you can save up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500s and enjoy rates as low as 0.9% APR financing. Try a Terrain or Acadia with rates as low as 1.9% APR for well-qualified buyers. Used car? Well, try the Car Bravo program. Nimnick certifies all makes and models. NimnickBuickGMC.com or the showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC. We are professional grade.
Hard Rock Bet presents Legal in Florida.
You can bet the game on Hard Rock Bet. No more betting inside your head. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Now Hard Rock Bet is legal in Florida. Legal in Florida. It's safe, it's legal. We'll repeat that it is legal. Top rated sports book and it's the only one that's legal.
Get a no-regret first bet up to $100 when you sign up now. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and over and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Why let a plumbing company tear up your property to repair or replace your old cast iron pipes when Superior Plumbing and Pipelining's no-dig trenchless service can reline them in just one day? Request an estimate now at SuperiorPlumbingJacks.com.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Nice run. It's great being back out on the mountain. You sort of disappeared for a while. Everything okay? Between you and me, it was lower testosterone. Lower T? Yeah. The doc told me once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone, and that can make it harder to stay in shape. That's why I started taking Nugenix Total T. It's made a huge difference. Oh, I've seen that on TV. Is it for real? For sure. It's the #1 doctor-recommended testosterone booster. It boosts free and total testosterone levels to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. My wife, my boss, my kids, everyone has noticed a change in me. Do they still give out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves? Yes. Just send them a text.
Guys, text HATCH to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone brand at GNC and Walmart. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back in shape fast, absolutely free. Text HATCH to 321-321. That's HATCH to 321-321.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
O'Reilly.
Did you know 1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced? O'Reilly Auto Parts will test your battery for free. If your battery needs to be replaced, our professional parts people can help you find the right Super Start battery for your vehicle and budget. Don't wait. Get your battery tested for free today at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at BrentASJacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690. Welcome back. What a fun week in Jacksonville. Jeez.
Fun, huh?
Oh, man. It's the first time, like, you know me, I'm a super positive guy. These last couple of days, thinking more and more about this stuff and seeing it, I don't know if the organization's in as good a spot as we thought it was headed. And obviously, the 6 games do a lot. Like, everybody's like, yeah, no kidding, Brent told you about. Yeah, because everybody panics when you lose 5 out of 6. I don't think everybody looks at all of it. And this started for me with a deep dive into like the Lions versus the Jags organization, really minus the roster outside of the offensive line. So that's kind of how we got here. But we need answers around here. And to do that, it sounds like we've got somebody on the line, Kasey. It's just like...
Hello?
It's just... Trent Baalke's like second or third cousin on the line.
Yeah, hey, Brent, did you say ESPN 690?
You got it, man.
Oh my God, I thought I was calling a good radio station. I'm sorry, man. Sorry about that. What do you got for me?
Hey, we want some intel here on what's going on with Trent Baalke in the building and tomorrow in the news conference. What do you know about a power struggle between Trent and Doug?
Well, I'll tell you this. Anybody who didn't agree with my second cousin's theory of drafting 74 guys in the draft and then not playing the 74 guys on the field probably shouldn't be struggling with anybody.
Do you know if Trent's going to retire?
No, I think what Trent can do is draft a few more general managers to kind of help with all the responsibilities.
You're really tied in here, cuz. Are you going to pay Trevor and Josh Allen this offseason if in the Baalke family? I mean, you pushing for that. What do you know?
I mean, it makes sense, but I feel like there's not going to be enough money after we draft 3 more quarterbacks and 6 more linebackers.
Yeah, I could see that happen. Might have to replace some of the linebackers you already brought in.
I think we should just keep adding to it. We don't need to replace anything.
What about those linebackers? I mean, did you too much investment by Trent there on the linebacker stuff? $15 million Foye, first-round pick Devin Lloyd, third-round pick Chad Muma, fourth-round pick Ventrell Miller.
I don't know if you've seen how much Gatorade we use, but you do need a lot of guys to carry that stuff out to the playing field.
I got one more for you. Luke Fortner, interior line. Are we running that back in Jacksonville?
Oh, my God. I didn't even know he played the interior line.
Yeah. You got to talk Trent into not running it back like you did last year.
I mean, we could always just draft like 4 more centers and be okay.
I think Jacksonville would vouch for that right now. Thanks, cuz. Baalke, third cousin, second cousin. Appreciate you jumping in.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you too, Brent. Thanks.
Oh, now we know where he gets all his information.
Huh? How about that?
When's Aaron coming back to the show?
Sounds like they're going to draft some guys, Brett. I don't know.
Like we got 4 centers, 6 more linebackers.
Bro said they use a lot of Gatorade.
Play to Gatorade carriers.
Said we need humans because of the Gatorade. That is wild.
In all fairness, I think that was the game plan last year as well. It just didn't work out. They didn't have enough draft picks.
How's your voice?
They only had 13. My voice is great.
Oh,
Can't you hear it? It's not dry or cracking at all.
Yeah, not at all.
Bro is flop sweating, though.
Me? I'm just shiny, Casey. I shine bright like a diamond. Okay. A diamond.
Yeah. Here's one thing that's, gosh, I can't get off the Baalke conversation. It's amazing how much this has dominated the last couple of days. But
it's getting super annoying.
Sorry, but it is what it is. It's just become the thing now, right? I mean, it is a thing until it's not a thing. But I will say this, like, nobody really know. I don't know if people know, like, the lineage in the building or to him, like, who he's close to. I always say this about Schott, and I say it almost from a positive standpoint, that he is hard to figure out. Like, you good luck breaking news that, like, Schott knows about. The coaching search was a prime example. Rumors all over the place, reports all over the place, and then reality. Like, but no, like, you don't see national guys jump on it. And I will say this about this. Like, Pete's obviously a national guy, and he's tied in here in Jacksonville and knows this organization, Pete Prisco I'm talking about. But you really don't see a lot of this kind of stuff coming from the national guys right now. Like, what we see here, the Rappaports or the Schefters or even Breer. Breer wrote off something else. It wasn't like his own thought on issues. So that always, to me, is interesting because I think sooner or later those guys know. And guess what? You know what happens around the league? Like, people internally can't wait to call those guys up. Like, I'm talking to Adam Schefter.
You think it's like a starstruck moment?
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. I totally think that. With not everybody, but with some.
Sure.
And so that's how they end up getting more information. Well, maybe these guys just aren't in the rumor mill business and aren't going to jump into that, or maybe they can't substantiate it. Maybe they've heard some things but don't know, because that's a part of it. It's kind of how we try to approach it around here instead of just throwing stuff out. But I think we try.
Nice.
I say some of you try.
And but I just will say this: there's no, like, there's the connection to this person or that person. The most we can figure out is everybody, at least in the media, seems to think, like, Rappaport gets his Jacksonville stuff from Trent. That's it.
If Rappaport sends a tweet at like 10:57 tomorrow that Trent's retiring,
exactly, like that.
Is that how that would happen? You think?
Yeah, that's how it would happen. Yeah,
bro, that'd be terrible. It's like Andrew Luck all over again, except people cared about Andrew Luck.
So would you feel terrible if Trent ended up announcing a retirement tomorrow?
Would I feel terrible?
Yeah, is that what you just said?
No.
I must have misheard.
No, I said it would be like Andrew Luck, because that's what happened with Andrew Luck. He was going to retire, and they threw it out there like 6 seconds before it happened.
Yeah. But I thought you said
whoa!
I thought you said that would be terrible right before you said that. I was like, oh, that surprised me.
Hey, got out the let's talk not Trent stuff. The all rookie team. That's kind of on Trent too, because the Jags don't have anybody on it. But
yeah, we started.
You can't stop, bro. Just let's talk basketball.
Can you imagine what people are saying that actually never did defend Trent Baalke? Like, I actually have.
That's fair.
We did start to talk about this a little bit earlier, but one thing that I pointed out was, aside from the fact that you don't have a Jaguar starting on there, like you just pointed out, Anton Harrison did make honorable mention.
As he should.
You have 2 guards and 2 tackles in the starting lineup. All of them, with the exception of Darnell Wright, were picked after Anton Harrison. So if you're talking about Trent and talent evaluation, if you thought you needed guards, Steve Avila, Osiris Torrance, who we've talked about multiple times, both those guys in the second round. Tackle DeJuan Jones. Now, I believe you played right tackle for the Browns because they have
Jedrick Willis.
Yes, even though he ended up getting hurt.
They both got hurt, I think.
Yeah. DeJuan was good before he went down, though.
All of Cleveland got hurt at some point.
True. And then Darnell Wright, first round, 10th pick, didn't necessarily pan out the way that the Bears had hoped, but started to play better towards the end of the year. But the point I was making to Casey, Brent, was that it seems like a year for a lot of swings and misses on tackles. There are a few tackles taken in the first round, some taken in the second and third. You don't really hear much about any standout stalwart tackle. We've talked before about Osiris Torrance being a good guard, but again, if you look at his PFF grades and some of those metrics, good relative to rookies, not good relative to the rest of the league.
Yeah, like so many people want to make they want to find the 5th round or the 3rd round or the 4th round or whatever that somebody else picked out better. Well, it's more of an inexact science then. what nobody really wants to admit around here is the whole tackle thing with Anton Harrison, the way that was done, the way it was played, the way it was executed by the Jaguars was really well done. It was really well done.
You mean the trade down twice?
The trade down twice, who you got in that trade down twice because you got an extra pick with Antonio Johnson, the money that you saved, the whole Jawan Taylor versus Anton Harrison, and now it does look like they've got a guy that can play right tackle for a bit. Now, that's what people don't want to admit. And it's interesting that you say that hey, a lot of the other tackles didn't really shake out too well. What they do say about this draft is actually a very good tackle draft coming up, also a good wide receiver draft. Interestingly enough, I don't think the Jags need a tackle, right?
We'll take
they need
two
those
of each.
interior guys. They need the interior guys and maybe wide receiver. But I'll give you one more thing. The name that keeps getting brought up, O'Cyrus Torrence, who makes all-rookie team at guard for the Bills. If you look at where the Jags drafted and where they picked Brenton Strange, you would say, well, why does everybody say this about O'Cyrus Torrence? They picked after he got drafted. Well, the Jags actually traded down
6 times
in that scenario. They had like the 54th pick or something like that, could have picked Torrence instead. They trade down. They end up getting Brenton Strange. Torrence goes off the board. What we don't know is would they have picked Torrence at 62 or whatever it was if he had been there? I don't know. But somewhere in there, I think you can criticize that because Torrence really worked. The Jags had problems at guard, and it worked out well for the Bills.
Bro, you can criticize, not somewhere in there. You can criticize it off the rip. They cut the dude they thought was their guard.
Yes, they did.
And they traded down to draft a tight end that...
Again, I don't mind the drafting.
You don't have to look hard to criticize, bro.
Yeah,
it's right there.
I don't mind the drafting of the tight end. That's where I think this gets skewed a little bit.
Did you have to pick him there?
No, well, you might have had to pick him there. Who knows? Maybe somebody else.
Did you have to pick tight end there?
There were other tight ends later.
The point is,
the
they
draft
should have picked Torrence there. And if you keep going down that draft, I think I did this just the other day. Like Tank Dell, for instance, I think goes early. Did Tank Dell go early in the 3rd round? Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think Tank Dell went early in the 3rd round. Does it make sense for the Jags in the 3rd round to pick wide receiver going into this year?
No.
Probably not, but it also didn't make too much sense for me to pick a running back.
But they did. They didn't pick him in the 3rd round, but they did draft a wide receiver.
They did
that's
later
fine.
in the 6th round.
Yeah.
But I think, here's the one. The one that's this is where they should have taken instead of like Brenton Strange, even if they didn't get Torrence. I think it makes more sense to go get the Bucs guy, the Bucs rookie defensive end.
Yeah. Diaby.
Yeah, and he played really well. So, like, that's the one that stands out to me. So, Torrence, because you traded down, didn't get a chance to get him because you thought you had left guard. And on top of that, you thought even if you didn't have left guard, you could play Walker Little at left guard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you didn't have that, you could play Tyler Shatley at left guard. So, they miscalculated, got a little unlucky with injuries as well. But that's where they could have really reset if they knew better on Barch specifically.
Well, yeah, but it's criminal to say this is our guy, and then he plays so bad you have to cut him.
Yeah, and he's playing for another team that's in the NFC Championship game.
Right. So either way, one way or other, either you cut him and you shouldn't have.
He's not really playing for them.
He's there.
The roster.
But, okay, if he does play and does well, then either you shouldn't have cut him and figured out how to use him better, or you went into a season thinking that your left guard was good enough and he ended up being cut. So, either way, it's a terrible mismanagement.
It is. It's a terrible
on all of them.
Yeah,
not just Trent. It's on everybody.
Miscalculation, the whole thing. You're right, and it's eye-popping there. See, I think this is a little unfair to do sometimes, positionally or where you draft a guy because it is inexact science. You're going to hit and miss, but this when it really feels like it crippled the team at times. Mm-hmm. That position, that interior, it stands out even more. Again, I don't have as big a problem with Brenton Strange as other people do. They had the franchise tag only, and they had on Ingram at the time, and they had Luke Farrell, and they still needed more depth. Again, like back then, you would have been fine at Darnell Washington, I think it was, at tight end.
Well, yeah, especially if you're not drafting a pass catcher,
because bro's goated at blocking,
and you needed it. Like maybe you didn't need maybe you didn't know you'd have an unhealthy offensive line. But you certainly knew you had needs up there because you were drafting for it. So, like, why not have an insurance policy?
And you definitely needed depth at tight end. I'm not arguing that. But you had your dude who caught 100 passes. Obviously, you didn't know that at that point. So the guy you were drafting,
Well, you knew you'd franchise tag him.
well, you didn't know he was going to catch 100 passes. I'm saying. So like you felt good about it. You didn't know. No. You could have had vet minimum do what you got from Brenton Strange.
Yeah.
Like it's not good right now, and Evan Ingram is not going anywhere.
What I don't know, I will say this: I don't know about what you just said. Vet minimum. They wanted a guy. Remember, we did this last year with Dan Arnold and Manhurts, right? They wanted a guy that could do both, that could be a pass catcher and still help out the blocking game, because they really didn't have that. Now Farrell was more blocking tight end guy. So what I don't know is, could you get that from around the league in free agency? I don't know that answer. Listen, you could go get Mercedes Lewis. He was available, but he's not going to be a pass catcher for you.
Okay, but how many passes did Brenton Strange catch?
I get it. I understand it. I understand, but it's the sell of being able to throw it to him.
Sure, and that's fine, but again, it's mismanagement.
And also, you had a guy you were throwing to.
What can you get Manhurt's PFF numbers this year blocking?
Sure.
Where was he? Denver?
Denver, I think.
Yeah, Denver.
Because if he was as goated as he was when he was here, you know how desperately you could use that?
Yeah.
You couldn't block.
Yeah, but you couldn't block on the inside, Casey. It's not like you couldn't block on that outside. You couldn't block on the inside.
Well, you didn't know what you had on the outside. You were bringing in a rookie at right tackle. You had a suspended guy at left tackle. Like
they could have used.
It was question marks.
No, but they like Farrell in the blocking game. I don't think Farrell shakes out too bad in the blocking game, does he?
So why'd you see? Then this just all confuses me. The point of this, in my opinion, conversation is you can kind of see what they were doing, but at the end of the day, they could have gone 10 different routes to do what they did instead of picking somebody in the second round.
No, I think they could have gone like 2 different routes.
I think 10.
I think in hindsight,
I like 10.
They could have gone like 2. I think they could have beefed up their interior with a guy like Torrance or somebody that they liked, but it worked out to be Torrance. Or they could have taken the more high-profile position to pick in the second round or even third round or whatever it is, in a guy like Yaya, right, who ends up performing pretty well. Like, so if you're – and you didn't get that out of Abdullah.
Didn't even have him active.
Right? He's not even active.
So you can't even possibly know what you got.
So, yeah, so that's like where – that's really where the criticism is, but it's like that's with 2 different positions, 2 different players. I disagree with, like, you could have got a better tight end option there. But I also I don't think you needed to reach for a tight end right there, because there are other options that could have helped you more. Guard, more valuable for you, like can come in and maybe contribute and start. Remember where the Jags were at the outset of this thing. They really had a lot of their starting positions locked up. But rotational pass rusher, yeah. Interior guard, compete with a weaker spot that you don't really know. It's an unanswered question. Boom. And the Jags missed on both of those kind of opportunities. That's where I would give them the most criticism about missing in that second round, more than the pick of Brenton Strange, who I actually think is going to turn out to be an okay player here.
When? Because you're not going to see him for a few years in any kind of significant role whatsoever.
Will Trent Baalke still be the GM when Brenton Strange makes an impact catching the football? A serious impact.
One may beget the other.
No, you won't be.
There you go. That's a second round pick. You got it.
That's again, I think we're being on Brenton Strange alone. I think we're being a little
hindsight is 2020.
Well, no, too like black and white on the hey, you got to catch passes if you play tight end. They had a guy that caught 114 passes. You still have to do other things from the tight end spot.
Brent, that's
you
not
have
what I'm
formations.
saying.
You have other things. Like there's other value in a tight end.
I understand that. But could you have done that cheaper than a second round pick?
Like I said, I think you can. You can, especially if you took Torrance or Yaya. Because I'll give that up to get what those guys could have helped on this football team, is my point. But I also think you're going to get decent play down the road from a guy like Strange. Like, I'm not done with that. I'm also not you could have done it later, or you could have got the same type of thing in the 4th round from somebody else, or in the 3rd round from Tucker Kraft instead of taking
Tank.
I don't know when Tucker Kraft was
what you got on Manhurts? I'm interested.
Tucker Kraft was 3rd round, 78.
Okay, so right around there, you could have taken a guy like him, maybe instead of Strange, when you already used.
What do you want to know on Manhurts' case?
Blocking grade.
Blocking
but
grade.
what you have? Run block, pass block,
overall blocking grade. Break it all down.
All right,
every number you got.
So in 2023 for the Denver Broncos, he had 367 offensive snaps. On 300 of them, he was asked to block.
Of course, yeah. He's a one-dimensional guy, yeah.
For a pass blocking grade of 73.1, would have made him maybe the second best pass blocker on the team behind Sheriff and maybe Cam once Cam got more games in. But the run block game was weak, just like the rest of the line here in Jacksonville, 58-5, according to PFF this year. Had a couple of really bad ones early on, and then some somewhat bad ones late as well. Middle of the season was really where he peaked. But last year in Jacksonville, that pass block grade was 80.5, and the run block grade was a 63. So he went backwards, but on a worse team.
Right.
With all new teammates.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they tried to sell him here in Jacksonville as like the best blocking tight end in the league.
80.5 is pretty significant. In Carolina in 2018, that number was 86.6.
If you got, I think Brent, you said this. If you've got the best of anything, you don't let it go.
Yeah, I get stuck on what Clay would tell us last year about him being there. It's a tell.
I get it.
You know, like I get what he's saying.
You mean
there.
Like with Manhurts on the field, you know there's a run happening.
Yeah, it's 90% run.
Even though his run block grades are kind of bad, it's the pass block where he really is pretty good. But to your point, he's not out there to catch passes.
Yeah, he's not going to leak out. Where like Strange we thought could, and he did a couple times and stuff, but not enough. Not like I don't know what people feel. I don't care if he caught 30 passes, guys. I'd still make the same argument. It's not about him. It's about what they passed on where they were weak.
Fortunately,
rotational defensive pass rusher and also interior offensive line.
Yeah, fortunately, you don't have to worry about the argument when he catches 30. He caught 5.
Which still is less than Dan Arnold. But Luke Farrell had more than Dan Arnold did last year, I think.
Brenton did have a tutty.
Yeah, he did.
It's a disaster.
That was like a fourth progression read by Trevor on that touchdown.
Yes, it was.
We'll put a bow on the show.
We won't. This is it.
Oh, is this it?
Yes, sir.
We're done.
Forever?
We went late.
We did go late. No, I don't think
Good fun argument, though, to end the show today. Liked it.
A couple of fun arguments today.
Yeah. Good callers. Third cousin of Trent Baalke. That was nice.
That one didn't exactly go the way it
We'll
should
see
have.
how accurate he is tomorrow.
Yeah, we will.
That was this segment, huh?
Big press conference coming. You better believe we'll break it down heavy tomorrow, including your boy, the media critic.
Oh, I can't wait.
Bringing my A game.
I'm going to lose sleep tonight, depending on what questions I'm going to ask.
And look, the fans of the show are all asking, are you going to be at the press conference? So know that the ears are up for Brent Martineau.
I like high-pressure situations.
You better be accusing Baalke of something.
Yes.
As we heard, you're not supposed to ask questions.
That's right.
Ask him about Brenton Strange. Now I'm intrigued. Let's keep this going tomorrow.
Baalke, on Brenton Strange, what were you thinking?
That would be
It's not really going to go
I would
over
be
well.
a hero in Jacksonville if I
Yeah, but
asked
then
that.
suddenly
That would
Brenton
be nuts.
Strange kicks down the door and tackles Martineau in the middle of the press conference room, starts beating him with a chair.
AEW in real life.
Have a good night, everybody. We'll do it again tomorrow after that Baalke presser at 3 o'clock. Brent Friends on ESPN 690.
Brent and Friends is sponsored by Best Bet. Now open in St. Augustine. With stores in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra, Underwoods has the largest American Gym Society credentialed staff east of the Mississippi River.
Here we grow again. Terry Norvell here from the Young and Norvell Show, announcing our new expanded hours as we are now on weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's right. You now have a standing lunch date with me and my broadcast partner, former Gators basketball star and current SEC network analyst Patrick Young, every weekday for 2 solid hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on ESPN 690. You supply the lunch. We provide the most compelling sports talk in town. Find out for yourself weekdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Catch the Young and Norvell Show on ESPN 690.
If you're the victim of a car crash, never rush to settle with the insurance companies and never settle for just any attorney. Demand Anna Jar and Levine. Call 1-800-747-FREE for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Main office, Jacksonville.
The Gun Show is back at the Maxwell Snyder Armory on Normandy Boulevard this Saturday and Sunday. Buy, sell, trade, and browse a huge selection of guns, knives, ammo, and more. Doors open at 9 a.m. $10 to enter. See you at the Gun Show.
Attention men and women. If you would like to get your hair back, then you need to listen to some of our clients. John in Orange Park.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Call IHRS now at 904-777-IHRS. Find out how to grow your hair back with a free hair and scalp examination.
I found finally found the most experienced company who could restore my hair. Now I have hair where I had none before.
Results guaranteed. Diane from Ponte Vedra.
Now I have what lotions couldn't give me. Thick, beautiful hair.
Find out why you're losing your hair and how to grow your hair back. Call 904-777-IHRS for a limited time free hair and scalp examination.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
Thank you, IHRS.
Thanks, IHRS, for giving me my hair back.
Hurry, this free examination, normally $199, is yours for free and good only through Sunday. For your free examination, call IHRS at 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Call now.
Advisory services through Talon Private Wealth and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Florida license D056341.
On Guarding Your Nest Egg Radio, Mike Lester, founder of Talon Wealth, focuses on a key question many share. Do I have enough to retire?
For starters, we'll do the math for you. But to me, it's really more about lifestyle. I want to find out what's important to you. I want to find out what your expenses are. And then I'm going to give you a realistic expectation moving forward of how your money needs to be invested to accomplish your goals in retirement.
Get to know Mike at guardingyournestegg.com.
This year, I resolved to have a whole new view in life.
Nice. So what are we talking? New attitude? Maybe new glasses?
Nope. New windows and doors from American Window Products.
New view. I see what you did there.
They're Jacksonville's oldest family-owned replacement window and door company. Great prices, selection, professional installation. They look great too. And you can save $250 off any entry door and free installation on 6 or more windows in January when you call 731-2247 or visit AmericanWindowProducts.com.
Thanks. I'll give them a look.
Credit for everyone. 500 vehicles in one location, 30-day exchange program. If you want it all, get it all at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Right now, just $500 down and only $288 a month gets you a pre-owned 2021 Toyota Corolla. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, or Tacoma for just $500 down and only $388 a month. Plus, Arlington's Credit for Everyone program and 30-day exchange program. Don't wait. Save thousands and shop arlingtontoyota.com today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/offers for details.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Jacksonville area